Chapter 524. Ning Fan held Jihe's umbrella and walked through the snowy scenery of Seven Apricot City, returning to the Sea Fan Palace that he had not seen for a long time. The Alchemy Room, the Plum Manor, the Dugu Sword Tomb. All the sceneries were the same as before, as if nothing had changed. Ning Fan closed his eyes and recalled everything that happened in the past. His heart, which had been cold for a long time, gradually warmed up. Jihe was on the verge of breaking through to the Gold Core realm and was about to sever her emotions. She was reluctant to sever her heart devil because it was Ning Fan. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he could totally help Jihe form her core without eliminating her heart devil. It would be effortless for him to do so. Thus, it was not a big problem. He did not purposely conceal the news of his return. The 4 clans guarding Seven Apricot City had already received the news. The clan leaders of the 3 clans personally rushed to the outside of Sea Fan Palace to greet Ning Fan. Only the clan leader of a clan came late. Ning Fan felt that the chi of that clan leader was a little unfamiliar. 7 Apricot 4 families, Wu, Yi, Mo, and Fang. The previous patriarch of Yi family didn't come. Instead, a new patriarch came. Ning Fan stroked Jihe's hair with a sigh in his eyes and asked Jihe, the patriarch of Yi clan, has he fallen? Yes. In the past 40 years, the clan masters of the 4 great clans have reached the bottleneck of the Gold Core realm one after another. The clan masters of the Mo clan, Wu clan, and Fang clan have succeeded in forming their Gold Core one after another. Only the clan master of the Yi clan has already failed to form his Gold Core 10 years ago and passed away. Jihe lowered her eyelids. She was a little reluctant and soft-hearted as she was in the past. Failed to form one's core. The affairs of the world are impermanent. Everyone has their own fate. We can't force it. Let's go and meet the patriarchs of the 3 families. Ning Fan sighed. The affairs of the world were unpredictable. Life and death were unpredictable. Who could predict whether they would live or die tomorrow? He had been away from the Yu Kingdom for 40 years, and an old friend had fallen. This caused him to sigh endlessly, but there was nothing he could do. He and Jihe walked out of the Sea Fan Palace. Outside the palace, there were 4 cultivators waiting respectfully. Among the 4 of them, there were 3 early-stage Gold Core cultivators. They were the Wu family's Wu Lan, the Mo family's Mo Rushui, and the Fang family's Fang Noa. The 4th person was the new patriarch of the Yi family. He was an early harmonious spirit youth with a decent aptitude. Greetings, young lord. The 4 of them saluted at the same time, wanting to kowtow to Ning Fan. No need to stand on ceremony. We haven't seen each other for many years. How have you been? Ning Fan smiled faintly. With a flick of his sleeve, a gust of wind blew towards the 4 of them. Their bodies seemed to have been frozen in place. None of them was able to kneel down. The harmonious spirit realm expert of the Yi clan was shocked. He was surprised that Ning Fan was so powerful that he could not kneel down with just a flick of his sleeve. The hearts of the 3 Golden Core realm cultivators were in turmoil. They were Gold Core cultivators after all, but they couldn't even resist the magical power of a flick of Ning Fan's sleeve. What was Ning Fan's current cultivation base? Just a flick of his sleeve could immobilize 3 Gold Core cultivators. The trio had also heard of Marquis White Robe's great name, but none of them thought that the 7 Apricot young lord and Marquis White Robe were the same person. The 3 of them spread out their spirit sense, trying to find out Ning Fan's current cultivation base. Scanning Ning Fan with their divine sense, the 3 of them turned pale with fright. They felt that the person standing in front of them was not the young lord of the 7 Apricot City, but an insurmountable mountain. That heavy aura made it hard for the 3 of them to breathe. Young lord's cultivation has reached such a high level. Could it be? Young lord has already broken through to the nascent soul realm. The Mo family's patriarch, Mo Rushui's beautiful eyes were filled with splendor. Old ancestor Jing Zhuo of Fire Cloud sect is an early nascent soul realm cultivator, but he definitely doesn't have the same level of pressure that young lord has. In my opinion, young lord's cultivation base has at least reached mid-nascent soul realm. Wu Lan, the patriarch of Wu family, covered her mouth with her hands and exclaimed. No. The young master's cultivation level is definitely higher than the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. 10 years ago, I met a middle-stage nascent soul stage senior. Even that senior did not have such a shocking aura like young master's. The way I see it, young master's cultivation level is at least at the late nascent soul stage. The Fang family's patriarch, Fang Nua, said with certainty. Oh, my God. Our 7 Apricot City's young master is actually a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. The Yi clan's harmonious spirit realm cultivator was stunned. He was still young and was not even born 40 years ago. Thus, he had never seen Ning Fan before. Puff! Jihe mischievously laughed, unable to hold it in any longer. Late nascent soul stage. Why was her big brother Fan only at the late nascent soul stage? Now that Marquis White Robe's name had shaken the world, why didn't anyone notice that he was her big brother Fan? Why didn't anyone guess that her big brother Fan's cultivation base had already broken through to the void refinement realm? Actually, big brother Fan's cultivation base is even higher than the late nascent soul realm. He has already reached. Jihe had a lot of things to say. She wished she could tell the 4 clan leaders about Ning Fan's true cultivation base. Ning Fan, however, stroked her hair and gently pressed his lips against hers, stopping her from speaking. It was not that he did not want to tell them about his true cultivation base. It was also not because he wanted to hide it on purpose. He was just afraid that if he told them about his void refinement realm cultivation base, it would frighten them and ruin the atmosphere of their reunion. Judging from City Lord Jihe's tone, young lord's cultivation base is actually higher than the late nascent soul realm. Could it be that he is a legendary peak nascent soul realm great cultivator? If young lord is a peak nascent soul realm great cultivator, then with young lord's identity, you might be able to make King Jin fearful and solve the crisis of our country. Wu Lan said in surprise. That's right. The reason why the 4 of us came here is to discuss with young lord about the Great Jin merger. Mo Rushue held her forehead and immediately reported when she remembered the important matter. Great Jin merger. Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly cold. Even though he heard that Great Jin was plotting against country, he did not know the ins and outs of the matter. Mo Rushue and the others immediately told him about the matter. In the past when Ning Fan passed by Great Jin, King Jin was just a late nascent soul realm cultivator. Not long after Ning Fan left Great Jin, King Jin broke through to the peak nascent soul realm and became a peak nascent soul realm great cultivator. After that, King Jin joined the Serene Heaven Palace, a branch of the Rain Palace, and received the support of the Palace Lord. In just 40 years, he broke through to the early divine transformation realm with the help of a secret technique. As King Jin broke through to the divine transformation realm, the cultivation country of Great Jin skyrocketed from a mid-grade cultivation country to a high-grade cultivation country. Under the instruction of the Serene Heaven Palace, King Jin ordered the 11 neighboring countries to submit to him and sent nascent soul realm experts to threaten the sects of the 11 countries to submit to him. King Jin intended to merge the 11 low-grade and mid-grade cultivation countries into Great Jin's territory. This was the matter of Great Jin merger that had caused a great commotion today. 10 days later, King Jin would hold a meeting for the merger in Song Country, which was located in the north of country. That would be the last chance that King Jin would give to all the countries. At that time, if the countries still refused to submit to him, King Jin would massacre all the sects of those countries. The Serene Heaven Palace seems to be the branch palace that the 6th Prince of the Rain Palace, Yunyomu, is guarding. Ning Fan muttered to himself. He did not put King Jin in his eyes at all. Young lord, if you are really a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, please go to Song Country and participate in the meeting to support our country. Mo Rushue and the others pleaded. Don't worry. I won't just stand by and watch. Ning Fan nodded his head and agreed to it. After dismissing the clan lords, he turned around and returned to Si Fan Palace. He hugged Jihe and went to sleep. Tonight was the first night of their reunion. Surely, they would have some lingering feelings. The next day, Ning Fan left Si Fan Palace in the snowstorm and headed to other places in Yu Country. Not only did he have old friends in Seven Apricot City, but he also had old friends in other places. He had to meet them eventually. In Ning City, the 3 Black Devil Guards were guarding it. After 40 years, the 3 Black Devil Guards' prestige had shaken Yu Country because all the Devil Guards had at least broken through to the harmonious spirit realm. As for the 3 commanders of the 3 Black Devil Guards, their cultivation base was even higher. Even Nanyang Zi and Lu Nanzi's cultivation base had improved tremendously. When Ning Fan quietly appeared in Ning City, no one noticed how he did it. At first, the 3 Black Devil Guards turned pale with fright. Countless sounds of whistling arrows could be heard from all directions. However, when the 3 Black Devil Guards saw Ning Fan's face clearly, each of them was stunned as if they had seen a ghost. Then, it was followed by earth-shattering cheers. Young Lord! Young Lord has returned! The 3 Black Devil Guards greet Young Lord. Welcome Young Lord back to Yu Country. Countless Devil Guards knelt and bowed to Ning Fan. Among the crowd, a few figures who were overjoyed rushed towards Ning Fan. Nangong, Situ, Yuchi, Nanyang Zi and Lu Nanzi greet Young Lord. Dispense with the formalities. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the crowd. Looking at the familiar faces, his heart gradually warmed up. The commander of the Ice Guards, Nangong, cultivated both ice and lightning. He had reached the bottleneck of the nascent soul realm and was a famous expert in Yu Country. The commander of the Sword Guards, Situ, emitted an evil sword chi. His cultivation base had reached the late Gold Core realm. He could even fight against a peak Gold Core expert. The commander of the Apricot Guards, Yuchi, still had the same burly appearance as before. He had actually reached the peak Gold Core realm by relying on a human and beast dual cultivation technique. Nanyang Zi was already an intermediate Gold Core expert. Lu Nanzi was also an early Gold Core expert. Yuchi looked at Ning Fan with a silly smile. Behind him was a charming and beautiful woman. Wife, come and greet our young lord. This servant greets young lord. Yuchi's wife respectfully greeted Ning Fan. Ning Fan was slightly startled. After 40 years, Yuchi already had a family. When he looked at the beautiful woman again, Ning Fan almost burst out laughing. This beautiful woman was not a human, but a demon pig. Her original form was a heavenly river pig. If Ning Fan was not mistaken, she was the little pig that Yuchi carried in his arms in the past. This little pig and Yuchi had interbred and cultivated together. She had also broken through the Gold Core realm and turned into a human. Ning Fan rarely felt happy. This Yuchi was really a funny man. He married a demon pig as his wife. Ning Fan's smile stunned everyone. Then, they all burst into laughter. Their laughter was as carefree as before. However, after laughing, Nangong's eyes turned cold. He cupped his fists at Ning Fan and said, Young lord, since you have returned to Yu Country, you should have heard about the merger of Great Jin, right? I wonder what young lord plans to do. When everyone heard Nangong was talking about serious matters, they regained their solemn expression and stood respectfully, waiting for Ning Fan's orders. If Ning Fan ordered them to submit to Great Jin, they had no choice but to do so even if they were unwilling. If Ning Fan ordered them to fight against Great Jin, they were willing to shed their blood in Great Jin even if they were no match for Great Jin. As long as Ning Fan gave an order, they would absolutely obey it. Plans? Is there a need to ask? Great Jin doesn't want to merge countries. I have no interest in it at first. However, King Jin has touched my people. This matter can no longer be settled peacefully. I will have to pay with my life. Ning Fan's eyes were cold. That kind of coldness was the kind of coldness that could only be obtained after going through countless mountains of corpses and seas of blood. When Nangong and the others met Ning Fan's eyes, all of them turned pale with fright. Each of them was a first-rate expert in Yu Country. However, they could not withstand the killing intent of Ning Fan's eyes at all. How high is young lord's cultivation base? I can't even muster the will to resist with just a gaze. Nangong was shocked. He had only seen such a cold gaze once in his life. It was the same expression that he saw in old devil's eyes when he met him for the first time. In that gaze, there was a devil might that looked down on the world. No one could compete with it. You guys rest for now. I will bring you to Song Country 9 days later. Ning Fan smiled. With a flash of light, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. All the devil guards of the 3 black devil armies were shocked. What a terrifying light it was. Its speed was beyond their imagination. Could it be that young lord has already broken through to the divine transformation realm? Nangong guessed in shock. From his point of view, only divine transformation realm cultivators in the legends could have such a light. In the Fire Cloud sect, old ancestor Jingzhuo was sitting under a fire orchid tree, gently feeding medicine to a woman with hollow eyes. It had been more than 30 years since Jingzhuo left the Endless Sea and returned to Yu Country. He became the first nascent soul realm cultivator in Yu Country and the strongest expert in the country. The woman in front of him was the only love of his life, Lady Yunhua. When Jingzhuo was breaking through to the nascent soul realm, he searched everywhere and finally found a way to let Lady Yunhua break free from her puppet body and truly resurrect her. She did not ask for immortality or to rule the world. She just wanted to correct her reflection. He did not forget the promise he made in the past. His dream in this life was not to break through to the mid-nascent soul realm but to resurrect his deceased wife while he was still alive. He had found the way, but he still could not let Lady Yunhua's soul return to her body. In order to let her soul return to her body, he would at least need to break through to the void inquiry stage and borrow the power of the void to return to her soul. Jingzhuo smiled bitterly. Where could he find a void inquiry stage old monster to let his deceased wife's soul return? He was just a small nascent soul realm cultivator. In the past, he thought that the nascent soul realm was the supreme cultivation level. However, after witnessing the terror of the Endless Sea, he knew that nascent soul realm cultivators were just ants in the eyes of real experts. Yunhua, I will definitely resurrect you while I'm still alive. Trust me. The white-haired old man Jingzhuo smiled. I trust you. Yunhua smiled faintly like a blooming fire orchid. In another 9 days, I will be heading to Song Country to participate in the assembly. I owe him a lot of favors. I'm afraid I won't be able to repay him in this lifetime. Now that he is not in Yu Country, I have to protect Yu Country for him. No matter what, I cannot let King Jin annex Yu Country. Jingzhuo's eyes flashed with a hint of anger. Husband, you must be careful during this trip. Yunhua gently stroked Jingzhuo's face. Just as the two of them were immersed in their affection, a light cough suddenly came from behind Jingzhuo. Jingzhuo's face was filled with shock. The security of the Fire Cloud sect was extremely tight. Who could actually sneak into the sect without making a sound and escape his detection? Before he could turn his head to look, a hand had already patted his shoulder. Fellow Taoist Jingzhuo, it's been many years. How have you been? You are Ning Fan. Jingzhuo was stunned at first. Then, his face lit up with joy. You're back. Yu Country is saved. Yes. I'm back. Great Gene is finished. Ning Fan teased. What's your current cultivation level? I can't even see through you anymore. Could it be that you have already broken through to the divine transformation realm? Jingzhuo guessed. Ning Fan smiled without saying a word. He just carefully looked at Lady Yunhua and sighed. You want to resurrect her? Yes. I found a method that can give her a trace of chance to resurrect in her puppet body. However, my cultivation level isn't enough to return her soul to her original position. Sigh. Jingzhuo sighed and said. Return her soul to her original position. Ning Fan remained silent for a while. All of a sudden, he lifted his finger and pointed at Yunhua's glabella. He and Jing Zhuo were considered to be friends. It was not impossible for him to help Jing Zhuo. Traces of void power coiled around his finger. After that, Yunhua's soul suddenly linked up with her Baihui body and returned to her original position. You don't have to worry about Great Jin. With me around, your country will not face any calamity. You should stay at home and take care of your wife. Ning Fan smiled and turned to leave. His traveling light was too fast. Jing Zhuo could not even see how he left. Jing Zhuo had yet to react. He did not know what was the profound meaning behind Ning Fan's finger and words. All of a sudden, the lady in front of him let out a moan. She rubbed her forehead and said softly, "Strange. Why did my soul return to its original position?" Clang, the bowl in Jing Zhuo's hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces of porcelain. However, he did not care about it at all. He just stared at Lady Yunhua without blinking. His old eyes gradually became moist. It's Ning Fan. He's the one who helped your soul return to its original position. Could it be that he is already a void refinement realm old monster? Yunhua, you've finally come back to life. I've been waiting for this day for far too long. You're still as beautiful as you were in the past. As for me, I've aged. Jing Zhuo's white hair hung loosely and his face was covered with frost. He had aged. Lady Yunhua raised her hand and gently touched Jing Zhuo's wrinkles. She revealed a loving expression. You're not old. In my heart, you're still the handsome Jing Zhuo from the past. If I don't see my beauty grow old in the blink of an eye, I won't regret the promise of the heavens that year. I can't thank you enough. Jing Zhuo hugged Lady Yunhua tightly. His heart was touched and he was extremely grateful to Ning Fan. He stared at the direction where Ning Fan left and could not let go of his feelings for a long time. Outside the fire cloud sect, Ning Fan withdrew his spirit sense. When he noticed that Jing Zhuo and Lady Yunhua finally got together, he could not help but reveal a smile. My next stop should be the Sinister Sparrow sect. Ning Fan took a gentle step forward and instantly crossed a vast distance, appearing at the Dark Sparrow Valley in the western region of Yu country. With another step, he directly crossed layers of formation light and appeared at the edge of the Bright Moon Pond in the inner valley. Beside the pond, a lady in blue robes stood quietly. She was the current sect master of the Sinister Sparrow sect, Blue Sparrow Sword, Lan Mei. Beside Lan Mei, there was another lady in revealing pink clothes. She was the inner sect elder of the Sinister Sparrow sect, Pink Skeleton, Bai Lu. Both of them were looking at the pond. Their beautiful eyes were filled with indescribable longing. Great Jin is going to swallow you country. Are you still not coming back? Big brother Ning Fan. Lan Mei sighed faintly. Humph. This stinky man is full of evil tricks. I wonder where he is indulging in debauchery. Why would he still remember us, his wives who have gone through hardships? Bai Lu's eyes were filled with resentment and slight anger. Ning Fan almost burst out laughing. He never knew that Lan Mei would call him Big Brother Ning Fan when she was carrying him behind her back. A numbing feeling surged through his entire body. He never knew that Miss Bai Lu, who had been yelling about killing him, would actually call herself his wife who has gone through hardships. Moreover, she was so resentful. Slap! Slap! Ning Fan appeared behind the two ladies like a ghost. He raised his palm and slapped one of their buttocks. It was soft and not bad at all. Who is it? How dare you disrespect me? Lan Mei was enraged. You're courting death. Bai Lu was ready to kill. The two ladies turned around with murderous intent, but when they saw the face of the man behind them, they were stunned. You. Why did you come back? You still know how to come back? The two ladies concealed the joy in their eyes and purposely showed a hint of anger. If I don't come back, I'm afraid you two won't be willing to form your core for the rest of your lives. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the two ladies with a teasing look. The magic power of the two ladies was enough to form their core, but they still couldn't break through to the gold core realm. It wasn't because they couldn't, but because they were unwilling. Just like Jihe, their heart devil was Ning Fan. They were reluctant to form their core as they were afraid that they would forget about him. A bunch of silly women. Ning Fan closed his eyes, but his heart felt warmer. Because of these silly women, the state of you was his home. Master. I smelled your scent and rushed to the inner valley. I didn't expect you to really come back. A surprised old man's voice resounded untimely, interrupting the romantic atmosphere. Do you have a dog's nose? No one could sense my return to you country, but you are the only one who knows that I'm back just by smelling it. Ning Fan was speechless. Wasn't the old man who smelled his return his first disciple, Xueqing? This disciple of his had already broken through to the high-grade 4th Revolution pill refinement realm. At this speed, he would break through to the 5th Revolution one day. Following the breakthrough of his pill refinement realm, Xueqing's nose became sharper and sharper. The improvement of Jihe and the other ladies' cultivation base and the 3 Black Devil Guards' cultivation base was all thanks to Xueqing. Since the day Ning Fan left Yu country, Xueqing had been concocting pills every day and night. Without him, a 4th Revolution pill refinement master in Yu country, it was impossible for the 3 Black Devil Guards to break through to the harmonious spirit realm. After working hard for 40 years, Xueqing finally saw his master's return. Naturally, he was very happy. He was happy not because he missed Ning Fan, but because he remembered Ning Fan's promise in the past that he would give him a 5th Revolution pill in the future. Master, where is the 5th Revolution pill you promised me? Xueqing was filled with anticipation. Oh, that's right. I remember that I promised you that I would give you a 5th Revolution pill. Ning Fan seemed to have recalled the past. He patted his storage pouch and took out more than 100 pill bottles, placing all of them on the ground. All of these pill bottles contain 5th Revolution pills. Take whatever you want. What? This is impossible. He actually has so many 5th Revolution pills. Xueqing's face was filled with astonishment. My goodness. Even a divine transformation realm old monster would not have so many 5th Revolution pills. Why does my master have so many of them? This doesn't make sense. Since when did 5th Revolution pills become cabbages that can be found everywhere? By the way, I'll give you a 6th Revolution pill. Do you want it? Ning Fan patted his storage pouch again and took out an exquisite jade box. Inside it was a 6th Revolution pill. 6. 6. 6. Xueqing was so excited that he could no longer speak. Today, he actually had the chance to see a legendary 6th Revolution pill. He was really too happy. Master, you are really too great. Your virtue matches heaven and earth and your prestige dominates the universe. For thousands of years, you will rule the entire world. Xueqing flattered incoherently. All of a sudden, Xueqing moved his nose and sniffed at Ning Fan. His face was filled with shock. Master. Why do you have a medicine soul? Could it be that you have become a legendary 5th Revolution pill refinement master? Legend. 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 Ning Fan rubbed his forehead. Is 5th Revolution pill refinement realm very rare? It has actually become a legend. It seems like 5th Revolution pill refinement realm and divine transformation realm cultivators are all legends in Yu country. Ning Fan pondered inwardly. Could my 6th Revolution pill refinement realm and void refinement realm cultivation base be considered as a legend among legends? Chapter 525. Ning Fan rewarded Xueqing with a 6th Revolution pill and 10 5th Revolution pills. To Xueqing, these pills were rare and precious treasures. However, to Ning Fan, they were just dispensable things. Xueqing excitedly accepted the pills. After kowtowing 3 times and bowing 9 times, he immediately excused himself and anxiously dissected these pills to carefully study them. He had never seen a sixth revolution pill in his entire life. He was as excited as an old urchin. Looking at Xueqing's retreating back in a hurry, Ning Fan could not help but laugh. He had only accepted 2 disciples in his life, and both of them were madmen who were obsessed with the Tao of pills. Yang Gu was the second disciple, and Xueqing was the first disciple. Yang Gu's innate talent in pill refinement was higher than Xueqing's. However, Xueqing's obsession with the Tao of pills was far greater than Yang Gu's. Besides, Xueqing's dog nose was getting sharper and sharper. He could even smell the scent of a medicine soul. When it came to cultivation, aptitude was not the most important thing. Perhaps one day, Xueqing's alchemy skills would surpass Yang Gu's because Xueqing had a stubborn heart. After Xueqing left, only Ning Fan, Lan Mei, and Bai Lu were left in the Bright Moon Pond. Like Ji He, both of them suppressed their cultivation to peak harmonious spirit realm. Last night, Ning Fan and Ji He had dual cultivation. He helped Ji He unblock her immortal veins and break through some small bottlenecks, helping her clear her obstacles in breaking through to the gold core realm. Today, he couldn't be too generous, so he naturally had to help Lan Mei and Bai Lu unblock their immortal meridians. Ning Fan. Since you're back, let's settle old scores. 40 years ago, you plucked me, and I was no match for you. But now, I am no longer the same as before. Humph. Today, this elder will definitely ruthlessly pluck you to take revenge for the enmity from back then. I will definitely pluck all of your cultivation. Bai Lu furrowed her eyebrows. Even though her tone was fierce, her expression was charming and charming. She directly threw herself into Ning Fan's arms and began to stroke his chest. Her expression was as if she wanted to have sex with him on the spot. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed slightly. Could he understand it as Bai Lu throwing herself at him? Ah. I still have matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Seeing this, Lan Mei blushed and turned to leave. She wasn't as bold as Bai Lu to throw herself into his arms. Just as Lan Mei was about to turn around, Ning Fan grabbed her wrist and stopped her from leaving. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. It's rare for us to meet again. I'll help you clear your immortal meridians. With a flip of his hand, Ning Fan broke free from Bai Lu's embrace and held her in his arms. Ignoring Lan Mei's struggles, he grabbed her and turned into a streak of light, heading towards Lan Mei's room with ease. Before Lan Mei and Bai Lu could react, they were already brought into the room and pushed onto the bed. When they saw Ning Fan's ambiguous smile, they immediately knew what was going to happen. Bai Lu hadn't received rain or dew for 40 years, her eyes immediately turned coquettish like silk, she softly moaned and unbuttoned her clothes, ready to receive pleasure. Lan Mei, on the other hand, was still a virgin. She could not help but feel a little nervous and her body was a little stiff. The moment Ning Fan took off the red silk curtain, Lan Mei lowered her eyelids shyly and expectantly. Today was destined to be a day of spring. When dusk fell, Ning Fan left Sinister Sparrow's sect. After a round of lovemaking, Ning Fan carefully cleared their immortal meridians with the help of his dual cultivation technique. Before leaving Sinister Sparrow's sect, Ning Fan reassured Lan Mei and Bai Lu by telling them that he would certainly solve the problem of Great Jin's merger. The two of them did not know exactly how high Ning Fan's cultivation base was. However, after this dual cultivation session, their cultivation bases had skyrocketed. Some small bottlenecks were directly broken through and they even touched the bottleneck of the gold core realm. The two of them could almost enter seclusion to form their gold cores at any time. Ning Fan had only dual cultivated with them once, but the improvement in their cultivation base was equivalent to a year of bitter cultivation for them. It was not difficult for them to guess that Ning Fan's current cultivation base had definitely reached an astonishing level which far surpassed their cultivation base. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such an obvious effect of dual cultivation. What exactly is his current cultivation base? Could it be that the Marquis White Robe that little sister Ji he mentioned is really him? Lan Mei and Bai Lu covered their mouths with their hands. They were a little surprised, but most of them were delighted. Ning Fan was no longer the same as before. Naturally, they felt happy for him. It seems like I can forget about plucking him for the rest of my life. Bai Lu purposely sighed, but her eyes were obviously filled with joy. What a hypocritical woman. Ning Fan left Sinister Sparrow sect and concealed his tracks. Then, he secretly went to some sects in Yu country. Great Void Sect, Purple Light Sect. He walked past each of the sections. He walked past the former site of the All Pleasure Sect and the ruins of the Heaven Separation Sect. Memories of the past flooded his mind. In the past, he was still a young man. In order to take revenge, he had no choice but to step into the sea of blood of cultivation. He had experienced pain, madness and sorrow. 40 years had passed, but the past was like a fleeting dream. It could no longer stir up any ripples in the lake of his heart. When he went to the Hu clan, he still remembered the promise he made to Hu Fengzi, the old ancestor of the Hu clan, to help the Hu clan 3 times for a cultivation pill. He stood at the peak of the Cold Moon Mountain in front of the grave that he had left for Hu Fengzi. Under the protection of his reputation, the Hu clan did not decline and continued to exist. However, Hu Fengzi's grave was already overgrown with weeds. Ning Fan squatted in front of Hu Fengzi's grave and pulled out the weeds in front of it. He sighed softly. You sacrificed your life to protect the Hu clan, but they forgot about you. They didn't even take good care of your grave. Now, it seems like what you did for them wasn't worth it. Ning Fan stood up and looked at the setting sun. Then, he turned around and left without saying a word. He did not give any benefits to the Hu clan. Perhaps it was because he disliked the fickleness of the Hu clan. After taking a few light steps, Ning Fan had already arrived at the flat cloud mountain in the eastern region from the western region of Yu country. The spiritual qi in the mountain was thin. There were no cultivators cultivating there. There was only one village on the mountain. It was called the Peaceful Village. It was a mortal village. This village was the mortal village where Ninggu lived in the past. It had been 40 years since Ning Fan and Ninggu parted ways. He really wanted to see his younger brother. He walked along the mountain path and slowly arrived at the outskirts of the peaceful village. Looking at the slightly unfamiliar scenery, he sighed with emotion. The mountain path outside the village was filled with sparse camellias. There shouldn't be so many camellias in the past. At the entrance of the village, a few yellow-haired children were chasing butterflies. They looked quite childish. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, they immediately approached him with a smile and asked, "Uncle, are you a passing merchant? Do you want to stay overnight in our peaceful village?" "I'm not a merchant and I'm not here to stay overnight. I've been to the peaceful village before. The reason why I'm here today is to look for an old friend." "An old friend? Who are you looking for, uncle? We can help you find the way." "However, uncle said that you've been to the peaceful village before. Why haven't we seen you before?" "Of course you haven't seen me before. You guys can continue playing. You don't have to show me the way. I know the way." Ning Fan could not help but laugh. It had been more than 40 years since he left Yu country. How could these 7 to 8 years old children have seen him before? He spread his spirit sense across the village. Suddenly, he sighed. Many of the mortals and villagers whom he had met in the past had already passed away. The lifespan of mortals was really short. Only 40 years had passed, but so many old faces had disappeared. Most of the elderly people in the past had already been buried in the soil. The young people in the past had also become old men. A few old men were sitting at the entrance of the village and smoking tobacco. When they looked at Ning Fan, they felt that he looked familiar. However, they could not remember where they had seen him before, no matter how hard they tried. They just smiled at him politely. 40 years had passed. It was impossible for the old men to remember a passerby whom they had met countless years ago. 40 years had passed. It was impossible for the children to have seen Ning Fan's voice and face. The children did not know each other when they saw each other. They smiled and asked him where he came from. However, they did not know that Ning Fan had been here a long time ago. After bidding farewell to the children, Ning Fan smiled at the old men in the village and walked into the mountain village alone. He passed through the thatched cottages with familiarity and went straight to one of them. There were 2 old longbows hanging on the wall of the thatched cottage. It was unknown how many years it had been since someone pulled it, as the paint on the door had become a little dark. Both sides of the wooden door and within the fence were planted with camellias of various colors. However, due to the lack of care, there were many weeds growing in the area. Ning Fan gently knocked on the wooden door. He could sense the chi of a man in the thatched cottage. He knew that it was his younger brother, Ning Gu. Upon hearing Ning Fan's knock, an old man who was almost 60 years old slowly walked out of the thatched cottage. His eyes were filled with sorrow that could not be erased. The old man's cloudy eyes were filled with sorrow. However, when he saw Ning Fan, he was immediately startled and his expression became extremely complicated. "It's you. You've finally come." Then, he coughed a few times and said with a bitter and sorrowful smile, "I've waited for you for a long time. If I don't see you again, I won't be willing to leave with her in peace." Ning Fan looked at the old man and let out a deep sigh. "Ning Gu, how did you become like this?" The old man was none other than Ning Gu. His face was covered with frost and he was getting old. He no longer looked as handsome as he used to be. Ning Fan was puzzled. Ning Gu was once a cultivator after all. Even if his cultivation base was sealed and he had cultivated the life-sealing ruler before, he should not have aged so quickly. Isn't it good to look like this? Cough, cough, cough. The old man coughed and smiled bitterly. "And Ran is dead, she's dead. I don't want to live alone. I'm willing to die with her. However, I still have an unfulfilled wish. I can't die just like this. I'm sorry. I finally remembered you. However, it took me 40 years. I'm sorry, big brother." The old man's eyes were filled with tears. His expression was filled with sorrow that could not be dispelled. Suddenly, he knelt in front of Ning Fan silently. He remembered Ning Fan and all the joys and sorrows of the past. He wanted to see Ning Fan again so that he could die with and Ran peacefully. Now that he had met Ning Fan and apologized to him, he already had the will to die. However, the guilt in his heart could not be erased no matter what. He was filled with guilt. He hated himself for spending 40 years only to remember that he once had an elder brother named Ning Fan. He felt even more guilty. He felt guilty that his heart was like dead ashes. He wanted to die with and Ran and could not accompany Ning Fan to the end of the lonely path of cultivation. "And Ran has actually gone too." Ning Fan let out a sigh. He closed his eyes and recalled the young girl from the mountain village that he met 40 years ago. Her lively eyes still appeared in front of him, but she was no longer there. And Ran was a mortal who was infatuated with Ning Gu. When she died, Ning Gu's grief and heartache was slightly understandable. "I clearly left a longevity pill for her. Didn't she eat it? If she eats it, she shouldn't die. How could she bear to eat those good things? She had already eaten them without me knowing. She was a good woman." The old man felt his heart wrenching. On the day Ran died, Ning Gu dispersed his cultivation base and his cultivation base. He originally had magic power and he would not age so quickly. However, after losing his magic power, he immediately aged rapidly. He did not have much time left in his life. As long as he could see Ning Fan again, he would die with Ran. "Big brother, I'm sorry. I can't accompany you on this path of cultivation." "Why are you saying this? Why would I force you if you don't want to cultivate? Get up. Bring me to see Ran's grave." Ning Fan pushed open the wooden door and helped Ning Gu up. He sighed softly. He understood Ning Gu very well. He knew what he was thinking at the moment. He knew that this foolish younger brother of his had fulfilled his last wish after seeing him. Now, he only wanted to die. Ning Fan did not stop him. He also knew that he could not stop him. However, he could still do one more thing for Ning Gu. That thing could still allow him to live a happy and ordinary life. All right. Big brother, I will bring you to see and ran. There was a short grave behind the house. In front of the grave, there was a wooden tablet. The grave of my beloved wife and ran. Ninggu took out some joss sticks and paper money from the house and lit them in front of Ran's grave. Then, he took out 2 jars of wine and drank with Ning Fan. The wine was the camellia wine from the Peace Village. It had a light floral fragrance and the alcohol was not strong. It was warm and smooth when it entered the throat. It was not spicy at all. Ning Fan stood in front of Ran's grave. He held the wine jar with one of his hands and gulped down a big mouthful of it. Ninggu did not drink the wine. He just stared at Ran's grave in a daze and smiled bitterly. Brother, how have you been all these years? Are you happy in cultivating the Tao? Regardless of whether I'm happy or not, I can't avoid this path. I can only move forward. Ning Fan said calmly. I'm very happy. I'm very happy living with Ran. I'm so happy that I can't bear to part with her. I originally hated Tao cultivation. I hated fighting, killing, scheming, and the endless sea of blood in the cultivation world. I stubbornly refused to teach Ran the Qi submission technique. I just wanted her to live a peaceful life because she too disliked fighting and killing. That's what I thought and that's what I did. However, after Ran passed away, I became lost again. The life of a mortal is really short. If Ran and I cultivated the Tao in the past, would we be able to stay together for a longer time? However, Ran told me before she died that she no longer had any regrets after knowing me for this lifetime. The life of a mortal is born in the morning and dies in the evening. It's just like the morning dew, like a white steed flashing past a crevice. It's just a blur. The life of a cultivator is long but tiring. It's like cicadas in autumn, like bees, butterflies, insects, and insects that seek for personal gain. However, it's not true happiness. I once regretted it and I was also lost. My heart ached as if it was being twisted into pieces. I missed all the times when Ran was by my side. If I cultivated the Tao, I might be able to stay with her for a long time. However, I firmly believe that if I can redo my life, I will still make the same choice as her and be a mortal companion for another lifetime. I will accompany her in her sickness, grow old with her, live a peaceful life with her and die with her. This is my wish. Brother, I want to accompany Ran. I'm sorry. I can't accompany you to the end of this lonely path of cultivation. My heart can't contain the Tao, it can only be filled with her shadow. As soon as Ninggu finished speaking, he suddenly lifted the wine jar and drank it in one gulp. However, his vitality was fading rapidly. When he finished drinking, he glanced at Ning Fan guiltily. Then, he turned his head and looked at Ran's grave with a gentle gaze. Ran, I've already met my big brother once. My wish has been fulfilled. Now, I'm going to look for you. You must have waited for me for a long time. In my next life, I still want to meet you during the blooming season of the camellia. However, I don't have the confidence to find you again in the sea of people. Ninggu quietly leaned against the tombstone and gently fell down. With a smile on his face, he passed away. Ning Fan's heart ached. He closed his eyes and stood still for a long time. He had countless methods to save Ninggu but he did not do it. Ninggu had suffered too much pain in this life. Since that was the case, Ning Fan would grant him a new life. Ninggu wanted to live the life of a mortal and reunite with Ran. Ning Fan could fulfill all of his wishes. None of you will die. Ran, I gave you a hairpin in the past. There is a trace of sword sense in it. Not only does it have the effect of protecting your body, but it can also retain a trace of your soul, Ning Fan muttered to himself. With a flick of his sleeve, Ninggu's corpse disappeared. Then, a new grave appeared in front of Ran's grave. There was a tombstone with the words, "The grave of Ninggu, youngest brother." Then, Ning Fan made a suction force towards the 2 graves. 2 wandering souls flew out from the graves. They were Ran and Ninggu. "Let's sleep for a while." Ning Fan gently tapped on the glabella of the two souls, causing them to fall into a deep sleep. Then, he kept their souls into his sleeves and left the Peace Village, heading towards the south of Yu country. After passing through countless cultivation countries, Ning Fan performed hand seals and divinations along the way. Finally, he stopped outside a city of immortal country. The country was called Tang Country and the city was called Chang'an. In Chang'an City, there were two families of officials whose madams were about to give birth today. The two families had been related by marriage for generations. Their mansions were only separated by a wall. Moreover, the madams of the two families were about to give birth on the same day. The two families had made an agreement that if the two babies that were about to be born were of the same gender, they would become siblings. If it was a boy and a girl, they would be betrothed to each other. Today, the two madams were about to give birth at the same time. It was supposed to be a joyous day. However, both of them had difficulties giving birth at the same time. Moreover, both of them were frail and weak. Even the best midwives and doctors in the city could not do anything to help them. Ning Fan had already divined that the two babies that were about to be born were a boy and a girl. Similarly, Ning Fan had also divined that if it wasn't for his intervention, the madams of the two families would have died from difficulties giving birth today. He made a hand seal and took out Ninggu and Enran's souls. Then, he stealthily descended upon the two families and placed their souls into the bellies of the two madams. After that, he personally activated his magic power to help the two madams give birth to their babies. When the two beautiful babies were born at the same time, all the doctors and midwives were stunned. How is this possible? They actually gave birth. Could it be that a deity has appeared and saved the two madams? Ning Fan did not show himself. He was just stunned. From the bodies of Ninggu and Enran, he actually saw a white line extending out of their bodies. The two white lines wanted to connect with each other but they could not. What is this line? Ning Fan never knew that there would be such white lines in a human's body. He carefully examined the white lines and sensed an extraordinary power of the Great Tao. It contained a vast amount of life force. Connect their white lines together so that they will never be separated from each other for the rest of their lives. Luo Yu suddenly reminded him from the yin-yang locket. Does this white line have such a use? Ning Fan was surprised, but he did as he was told. He gently tied the white thread on their little fingers. The white lines were not visible to the naked eye. Even void refinement realm experts and void fragmentation realm experts might not be able to see them. Ning Fan vaguely guessed that the white lines were extraordinary. With this line, no matter how many times you and Enran reincarnates, you will always be reunited with them. This is good too. Finally, your wish has been fulfilled. Ninggu, no matter what you want, I will give it to you because I am your elder brother. An elder brother is like a father to you. Since your wish is to be a mortal couple with Enran for the rest of your life, I will grant you such a life. However, you must remember one thing. You must protect the woman you have slept with for the rest of your life. You must not let her suffer any harm. Since this is the path that you have chosen, you must follow this path until the end. Remember this. Ning Fan's body was concealed. Only Ninggu could hear his words. Ninggu was clearly just a little baby. However, he did not cry or make a fuss. Instead, he stared at Ning Fan with his pitch-black eyes and babbled. No one knew what he was saying. Perhaps it was Ninggu's way of expressing his gratitude and assurance to Ning Fan. I wonder when will be the next time we meet. Ning Fan felt a little disappointed. He took a step forward and left Tang Country. On this day, he personally buried Ninggu and gave him a chance to be reborn. Inwardly, he faintly gained some understanding of samsara. That kind of understanding was the understanding of life and death. Besides, life and death were included in samsara. Because of this understanding, he saw the strange white lines. When I saw the two of them die, I personally built their graves. I gave them a chance to be reborn and personally sent them to be reincarnated. This feeling is very strange. But what exactly is that white line? Ning Fan's heart was stirred. He patted his storage pouch and took out a wordless ancient book that had turned yellow. It was something that he found by chance in the sinister Sparrow sect in the past. It was an item left behind by immortal sovereign Zido. This book was not a cultivation method or magic technique. It also did not record any cultivation experience. However, it contained Zido's subtle feelings of sending his friends to their graves. Because Ning Fan had touched the edge of the samsara power, the wordless ancient book had already revealed a short poem. Death is like an extinguished lamp. Samsara blows and reignites. An immortal's death is like scattering thoughts. This life will never return. Ning Fan recited this poem and walked past each of the low-grade cultivation countries. Then, he stood on the peak of a nameless barren mountain. He faintly sensed that there seemed to be a power similar to controlling life and death in that white line. What is that line? He asked himself. That is the Tao line of life. TSK, I didn't expect that you could actually gain enlightenment about life and death after sending your younger brother to reincarnation. From there, you could see the Tao line of life. You really surprised me. If this encounter of yours is spread out, I wonder how many void fragmentation realm old monsters in the 9 worlds will envy you. Luo Yu praised. The Tao line of life. What's that? Ning Fan asked in surprise. That's the Tao line that only human profound life immortals can see. It's a crucial step in becoming an immortal. The reason why those rogue immortals, rogue demons, and rogue devils failed to become immortals is because they couldn't comprehend the Tao line of life. The most difficult step in the path of becoming an immortal is to comprehend life and death. Since you can see the Tao line of life, it will greatly help you in becoming an immortal in the future. Now, however, it's useless. Luo Yu explained. I see. So this item is the Tao line of life. Ning Fan stood on the peak of the nameless mountain for 8 days. During these 8 days, his mind repeatedly comprehended life and death. When he raised his palm, he could already see the pure white Tao line of life from the lines on his palm. On the 9th day, Ning Fan stopped comprehending and returned to Yu country. It was almost time for him to head to Song country to participate in the Great Jin's assembly. King Jin, the grudges in the past have been settled today. Ning Fan said indifferently while walking among the clouds. The assembly was being held in Lin Shui city of Song country. In the sky above Lin Shui city, countless rays of light and flying ships were continuously arriving. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators gathered in the city to participate in the assembly. Most of the cultivators who came to Lin Shui city belonged to the 11 cultivation countries that were threatened by Great Jin. In this assembly, the sects and forces of the 11 cultivation countries must give Great Jin an answer. They would either choose to submit to Great Jin or choose to perish. In a large hall at the center of Lin Shui city, a divine transformation realm cultivator wearing black dragon robes sat on the throne. He was none other than King Jin. Below him sat 2 other divine transformation realm cultivators. They were the divine transformation realm revered elders of the serene heaven palace of the Rain Palace. One of them was an early divine transformation realm cultivator with a head full of white hair who was almost touching the bottleneck of the mid-divine transformation realm. He was none other than revered Snow. The other divine transformation realm cultivator seemed to have just advanced to the mid-divine transformation realm not long ago. His cultivation base had yet to stabilize. His face was ugly and his body was tall and sturdy. This ugly man's name was Yun Lai. He used to be a divine messenger of the Rain Palace. However, after he broke through to the divine transformation realm, he joined the Serene Heaven Palace and became a revered elder. He was given the title of Revered Lai. Behind the 2 revered elders, there were more than 10 divine messengers from the branch palaces. All of them were at the nascent soul realm. Among the divine messengers, there was a late nascent soul realm cultivator who was blind. He wasn't as arrogant as he used to be. His whole body was emitting a dense aura of death. He was Yun Kuang, the person who wanted to buy Yin Suchio's smile with money. He, this assembly is just a formality. With King Jin's divine transformation realm cultivation, it's a piece of cake for you to suppress the 11 countries. Even if the 11 countries are unwilling to submit to you, they won't dare to disobey you. There shouldn't be any blind forces that would dare to disobey King Jin's order, right? Revered Snow said with a smile. What fellow Taoist Shui said is extremely true. Even though there are some small powers that are unwilling to submit, but as long as we annihilate a few powers in this assembly of nations to serve as a warning to the others, I presume the other powers will obediently submit to our Darjin dynasty. By the way, may I ask fellow Taoist Yun Lai if the Vice Palace Master will come personally? King Jin revealed an expectant look and cupped his fists at Yun Lai politely. The Vice Palace Master he mentioned was naturally the Vice Palace Master of the Serene Heaven Palace. Not only the Vice Palace Master of the Serene Heaven Palace will come for this assembly, but also a big shot. Yun Lai said indifferently. Oh. Which big shot will be coming? King Jin was surprised. The sect master of the martial sect, Marquis Wu Mu. Yun Lai's tone was calm, but King Jin was shocked. What? A big shot like Marquis Wu Mu would actually participate in a small assembly of my great Jin. This really makes Ben Jun overwhelmed by the favor. My status is low, so I've never seen Marquis Wu Mu before. If Marquis Wu Mu comes, I'll have to trouble fellow Taoist Yun Lai to introduce him to me. I heard that there are some sects in your country that are openly opposing to submit to Great Jin. Yun Lai didn't like King Jin's flattering expression, so he casually changed the topic. You country? It's just a low-grade cultivation country. What's there to be afraid of? I'll knock some sense into you country in this assembly and see which country still dares to not submit to Great Jin. King Jin sneered. I advise you not to look down on you country. This is just a kind reminder. Yun Lai recalled the figure of a young man in his mind and suddenly felt a little dispirited. If it wasn't because he joined the Serene Heaven Palace and received the mission to participate in the assembly, he wouldn't be willing to be associated with King Jin. On the contrary, he preferred to sit and discuss the Tao with that young man from Yu country. He reunited with that young man during the demon extermination mission in Great Jin and was surprised by the young man's rapid improvement in strength. Now that another 40 years had passed, he wondered if that young man had returned to Yu country and what cultivation base did he have now. If he was still around, it might be very difficult for King Jin to unify the 11 countries. Humph. Yu country is just a low-grade cultivation country. It's nothing to worry about. Although Yu country's Fire Cloud sect has a nascent soul realm expert and Sinister Sparrow sect has a 4th revolution pill master, they're still not qualified to be my enemy. Fellow Taoist Yun Lai might have good intentions, but you're worrying too much. Yu country won't be able to stir up any waves. It's just a country of ants that can be trampled to the ground at any time. King Jin suddenly stood up and walked out of the main hall in high spirits. I'm a dignified divine transformation realm cultivator. Those below the divine transformation realm are all ants. Within the 11 countries, no one is a match for me. Everyone must submit to me. King Jin's body emitted wisps of black intent realm power. In an instant, both Yun Lai and Revered Snow were greatly shocked. Is this the Overlord intent realm? What a strong force. Among the early divine transformation realm experts, there aren't many who can be a match for King Jin. Chapter 526. Revered Snow and Yun Kuang glanced at each other and sighed. Although King Jin had broken through to the divine transformation realm with a secret technique, his divine abilities were not to be underestimated. It seemed like no one could stop the unification of Great Jin. Another 3 days passed. Almost all the sects of the 11 countries had gathered in Lin Shui City. There were hundreds of them. There was a floating jade platform in the sky above Lin Shui City. There were 4 levels of seats around the jade platform. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators were seated there. Among the 11 countries that King Jin had ordered to submit to, 3 of them were mid-grade cultivation countries while the remaining 8 were low-grade cultivation countries. On the lowest level, cultivators from Yu, Song, Zheng, and Wei were seated. On the second floor, there were cultivators from the Xiong country, Wu country, and Huang country. On the third level, there were 3 balls of light. Each of them had divine transformation qi. They were King Jin, Revered Snow, and Yun Kuang. The fourth level was empty. Some well-informed people had heard that the fourth level was prepared by King Jin for a few big shots of Rain World. King Jin had forced all the sects of the 11 countries to submit to him. Most of the sects dared not disobey King Jin's tyrannical power. Only Yu country had the highest number of sects that refused to submit. Anyone with a discerning eye would know that King Jin would be the first to attack Yu country in today's assembly. This old man has received news that King Jin is going to massacre the sects of Yu country that refuse to submit in Linshui city. Sigh, the cultivators of Yu country are really ignorant. How dare they go against a spirit-severing cultivator? A gold core realm cultivator from Qin countryside. Qin country was located to the south of Yu country. It was also a low-grade cultivation country. Yu country is just a low-grade cultivation country. Although there is a nascent soul realm cultivator and a fourth revolution pill master in the country, they still can't resist the might of a divine transformation realm cultivator. To a low-grade cultivation country like us, a divine transformation realm cultivator is a legend. Killing a nascent soul realm cultivator is as easy as killing a bug. I'm afraid that Yu country is going to be annihilated. A cultivator from Shao country said in a low voice. Shao country was a low-grade cultivation country located to the north of Great Jin. It's not the first time that the cultivators of Yu country are ignorant. Back then, old ancestor Jing Zhuo of the Fire Cloud sect had broken through to the nascent soul realm and returned to Yu country. He was favored by a nascent soul realm divine messenger of the Rain Palace, who wanted to support Jing Zhuo to unify all the sects in Yu country and upgrade Yu country to a middle-rank cultivation country. However, Jing Zhuo directly rejected the goodwill of that divine messenger and angered that divine messenger, causing Yu country to be unable to be promoted to a mid-grade cultivation country until now. A cultivator of Zheng country recounted the past. Speaking of Yu. Look, why isn't old ancestor Jing Zhuo of Yu country here? Even great master Xue Qing isn't here. That person in the seats of Yu country's 7 apricot city seems a little familiar. This old man seems to have seen him somewhere before. A gold core realm cultivator who had participated in the demon extermination in Great Jin looked at the seats of 7 apricot city suspiciously. There was a white-robed young man sitting there, holding a paper umbrella and surrounded by a few beautiful women. Before the golden core cultivator could examine it carefully, 3 loud and clear streaks of light whistled through the sky. Chi! 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 While countless cultivators were discussing among themselves, 3 old men suddenly soared into the sky from afar and landed on the jade platform that was suspended in the air. They glanced at the hundreds of thousands of cultivators indifferently. Each of them had an air of arrogance about them. However, when they looked in the direction of King Jin on the 3rd floor, they suddenly cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. Old ancestor Su Feinan of Xiong country, old ancestor Tianji Laoren of Wu country and old ancestor Wang Huang of Huang country greet King Jin. The 3 of us are willing to lead the sects of Xiong country, Wu country and Huang country to submit to Great Jin. From today onwards, we are King Jin's subordinates. We are willing to host today's assembly on behalf of King Jin. King Jin nodded lightly. He wasn't surprised by the appearance of the 3 old men and agreed to let them host today's assembly. All of a sudden, the sects of the low-grade cultivation countries turned pale with fright because they recognized the identity of the 3 old men. The old ancestor of Xiong country, Su Feinan, was a notorious devil. Xiong country was originally a country of devil cultivators and Su Feinan was known for his cruelty. He unified the Xiong country with his nascent soul realm cultivation and killed countless people. People called him the Butcher of Heaven and Earth. He was the leader of 100 sects of Xiong country. He actually led the Xiong country to submit to Great Jin. The old ancestor of Wu country, Tianji Laoren, was an expert in the art of divination. Although he was only in the nascent soul realm, he made friends with many great cultivators with the help of the art of divination. Almost no one in Wu country dared to offend him. His submission to Great Jin almost meant that the entire Wu country was submitting. The old ancestor of Huang country, Wang Huang, was also a nascent soul realm expert. His body refining technique had been cultivated to the peak of the silver bone realm, and he could even fight against a great cultivator. This person spent hundreds of years of effort to unify the Huang country. Now, he actually abandoned his country and submitted to Great Jin. It was really unbelievable. Without a doubt, the three mid-grade cultivation countries, Xiong country, Wu country and Huang country, had already submitted to Great Jin secretly. There was only one reason why the three old ancestors bowed to King Jin in public, to pressure those low-grade cultivation countries. Even these mid-grade cultivation countries had submitted to Great Jin. If the other low-grade cultivation countries dared to not submit, they would be ignorant of the situation. And the consequence of being ignorant of the situation was death. Su Feinan, Tianji Laoren, and Wang Huang stood proudly on the jade platform that was suspended in the air. Their cold gazes swept across the hundreds of thousands of cultivators. Their tyrannical aura caused the cultivators from the low-grade cultivation countries to keep quiet out of fear. Among the three of them, Su Feinan carried a huge black sword on his back. He sneered and took a step forward. Then, he looked around at the crowd and said, "The assembly for the merger of the countries will now begin. My King Jin has a grand plan that no country dares to disobey. I'm full of admiration for him. Today, my king intends to invite fellow Taoists from all the sects to join Great Jin and work together to achieve the great Tao of cultivation. What do you think? Are you willing to submit to Great Jin?" Su Feinan asked coldly. He didn't say much and went straight to the point, causing many cultivators from the sects to lower their heads and sigh. Even three mid-grade cultivation countries had submitted to Great Jin. How could they, the cultivators from the low-grade cultivation countries, dare not to submit? However, they were a little unwilling to immediately agree to submit to Great Jin. For a moment, many sects were still hesitating. They wanted to see how the other low-grade cultivation countries would decide. Therefore, they didn't answer Su Feinan's question immediately. Su Feinan sneered in his heart. He understood that these sects from the low-grade cultivation countries wanted to wait and see. He didn't say anything else. There was no need for him to waste his breath on these people. Under such circumstances, he only needed to make an example out of a small number of people. Then, the rest would know the pros and cons and wouldn't dare to disobey him. Su Feinan's eyes flashed with ferocity. His gaze swept across the seats of the sects from Yu country. Before the assembly, King Jin had secretly instructed them to use Yu country to establish their prestige. To establish their prestige, they needed to kill a lot of people. Of course, they couldn't dirty King Jin's hands. Otherwise, they might need him, Su Feinan, to kill to establish his prestige. I heard that there are many sects in Yu country that are dissatisfied with my lord, King Jin. Fire Cloud Sect, Sinister Sparrow Sect, Seven Apricot City, Great Void Sect, Purple Light Sect. If I'm not mistaken, these are the sects that are unwilling to submit. Humph. A bunch of ignorant fools. I might have to teach you a lesson. Chi Su Feinan suddenly performed a sword art. His eyes flashed with red light. His body was surrounded by a frightening evil chi, making him look like an insufferably ferocious devil. The huge black sword behind him soared into the sky and turned into hundreds and thousands of sword shadows. The ferocious sword light swept across thousands of miles of the sky. Then, he pointed at the seats of Yu country. Black sword lights slashed down like raindrops. Each sword light was powerful enough to kill a harmonious spirit realm expert. Tens of thousands of sword lights slashed down at the same time. Indistinctly, there was a kind of heaven and earth aura contained in the sword lights, making the might of the sword unstoppable. Even a peak nascent soul realm old monster might not be able to withstand this attack. Single sword of the universe. This was the strongest sword technique that made Su Feinen famous. It was unknown how many famous old monsters had died under this sword. Su Feinen's sudden attack had shocked countless people. No one expected that Su Feinen would suddenly kill people. He simply ignored the laws of the rain world. He was truly a brutal and ferocious devil. His attack was indiscriminately attacking the sects of Yu country. It was obvious that he was prepared to slaughter every single one of the tens of thousands of Yu country cultivators in this assembly. Although many people heard that King Jin wanted to give Yu country a warning, they didn't know that he would use such a direct killing method. This was the consequence of not submitting to King Jin. Those who didn't submit would die. What an overbearing King Jin. Each of the cultivators kept quiet out of fear and closed their eyes. They didn't dare to watch the deaths of the Yu country's cultivators. They only wished to submit to Great Jin immediately to save their lives and avoid repeating the mistakes of Yu country. On the seats of the third floor, revered Snow closed his eyes indifferently. There's no need to watch anymore. This Su Feinen has already made his move. None of the Yu country's cultivators who came to Linshui City will survive. After this massacre, no one will dare to refuse to submit to Great Jin. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the seats of Yu country in disbelief. Yun Kuang stood up abruptly. His face was also filled with astonishment. However, there was also a hint of confusion in his astonishment. It was as if he had recognized the identity of the person who came, but he was still uncertain. King Jin's eyes were filled with astonishment. His expression gradually turned gloomy. As for Su Feinen, who tried to kill the Yu country's cultivators, he was stunned on the spot. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him. Under the heavy rain of swords, a white-robed young man suddenly walked out from the seats of Yu country. He held a blood-red umbrella and stood quietly in front of the Yu country's cultivators. He stood there. No one knew who he was. No one could sense any magical power or aura from his body. The Yu country's cultivators were initially afraid of the sword lights that filled the sky. However, after the white-robed young man transmitted his voice, all the sects of Yu country were shocked and overjoyed. None of them were afraid of Su Feinen anymore. None of them tried to escape from the sword lights. The white-robed young man looked at the sword lights that filled the sky. His eyes were filled with coldness. He held the blood-red umbrella and stood in the heavy rain of swords. Suddenly, he shook the blood umbrella. Circles of light red halos spread out and the sword lights that filled the sky disappeared in an instant. No one knew where the halos went. Heavenly abode treasure. Countless cultivators exclaimed in surprise. They treated the blood umbrella as a legendary heavenly abode treasure. Impossible. Even a grand cultivator might not be able to block my single sword of the universe. What kind of treasure is that? It can actually absorb all my sword lights. Who are you? There is certainly no one like you in Yu country. Are you trying to stand up for Yu country and become Great Jin's enemy? Just as Su Feinen was about to say some harsh words, he felt a chill down his spine when he met the white-robed young man's ice-cold eyes. He had killed countless people in his life and his evil chi was terrifying. When facing nascent soul realm cultivators who were at the same level as him, the evil chi that he emitted could disturb their minds. However, when facing the white-robed young man in front of him, Su Feinen's evil chi actually showed signs of losing control. There was only one explanation for this. This white-robed young man was a devil lord who was even more ferocious than him and had killed more people. His devil might was countless times more terrifying than his. I just want to stand up for Yu country. What are you going to do about it? Ning Fan said indifferently. He was the white-robed young man. Since you want to stand up for Yu country, I will kill you on behalf of King Jin. Su Feinen calmed himself down. He was unwilling to believe that the weak-looking young man in front of him was a devil lord who was more ferocious than him. Illusion. The feeling of losing control of his evil chi just now must be an illusion. As for the blood umbrella which Ning Fan used to absorb all of his sword lights, it must be some kind of heavenly dwelling treasure which absorbed all of his sword lights with its power. This person is definitely not a divine transformation realm cultivator. He might not even be a nascent soul realm cultivator. I've heard of most of the nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm cultivators in the southeastern region of the Rain world. There is definitely no such person among them. The reason why he could absorb all of my sword lights is because of that blood umbrella. What a heavenly dwelling treasure. Even though this treasure is miraculous, this person's cultivation base is not high. Thus, there's nothing to be afraid of. If I kill him, I will be able to obtain the blood umbrella. It's also a wonderful thing. Su Feinen patted his storage pouch and took out another 13 flying swords which shone brightly. Each of them was at the peak nascent soul realm and had been sharpened with the blood of wild beasts. Each of them gave out a ferocious and primitive chi. The 13 desolate swords of the universe. Someone recognized Su Feinen's magic treasures and was astonished. Rumor had it that Su Feinen had used these 13 flying swords to kill a few peak nascent soul realm cultivators. They were really not to be underestimated. After summoning all of his flying swords, Su Feinen consecutively displayed 13 different types of flying sword techniques, causing the flying swords to turn into 13 sword shadows. Each of the sword shadows had the shadow of a wild beast attached to it. The 13 sword shadows shot towards Ning Fan. The destructive power of each sword shadow was comparable to an attack from a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. No one except a divine transformation realm cultivator could withstand this technique. Su Feinen had already revealed his killing intent. His intention to kill Ning Fan and seize his treasures was obvious. Looking at the terrifying shadows of wild beasts on the flying swords, each of the cultivators from a low-grade cultivation country was filled with fear. Is this Su Feinen's trump card? A single magic technique is enough to kill tens of thousands of harmonious spirit realm cultivators. It's enough to subdue a country. No one except a divine transformation realm cultivator would be able to fight against it. This white-robed young man's blood umbrella magic treasure isn't weak. However, it's definitely not a match for Su Feinen. After all, Su Feinen is a nascent soul realm old monster whose name shakes a country. Besides, he has even used the 13 desolate swords of the universe. Some cultivators firmly believed that Ning Fan would definitely lose. However, just as their voices fell, all of them became mute at the next moment. At the moment when the numerous flying swords and sword shadows slashed down, Ning Fan casually shook the blood umbrella and kept the 13 flying swords and beast shadows away. His expression was still as cold as ever. Impossible. You have actually taken away my 13 desolate swords. Apart from feeling astonished, Su Feinen also felt a strong sense of fear. The destructive power of the blood umbrella seemed to be far beyond his imagination. Ning Fan, however, did not even look at Su Feinen. He just kept the blood umbrella and pointed at Su Feinen. Circles of faint red spirit wheels spread out and sucked Su Feinen into the blood umbrella without hesitation. Step by step, he walked up the jade platform and shook the blood umbrella towards the ground expressionlessly. A pool of pus and blood fell to the ground. The scene was extremely terrifying. All of a sudden, the entire Lin Shui city fell into dead silence. The qi in that pool of pus and blood clearly belonged to Su Feinen. Su Feinen was turned into a pool of pus and blood by Ning Fan's casual swing of the umbrella. How could this be possible? Su Feinen is actually dead. He was actually killed by this man in just a single strike. How is this possible? He is a great devil lord whose name is Heaven and Earth Butcher. Who is this man? Who exactly is he? Since he could kill Su Feinen and possess such a terrifying blood umbrella, he definitely can't be a nobody. It was unknown who shouted first. At the next moment, all the cultivators looked at Ning Fan as if they were looking at a ghost. Their eyes were filled with deep fear as they tried to guess Ning Fan's identity. How dare you? How dare you kill someone in Lin Shui City in front of 3 divine transformation realm experts? Do you want to become the enemy of Great Jin? Do you want to become the enemy of the Rain Palace? Tianji Laoren and Wang Huang mustered up their aura force and shouted at Ning Fan in unison. Ning Fan turned his head indifferently and just glanced at the two of them. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Tianji Laoren and Wang Huang immediately felt as if they had suffered a heavy blow. Both of them coughed out blood and took 100 steps back, almost falling to the ground. They were actually unable to resist Ning Fan's gaze at all. How cold was that gaze? It was as if he could turn Lin Shui City into a sea of blood and a devil abyss as long as he wills it. This man. Who exactly is he? It's him. It's that son of a tiger and a wolf in the past. King Jin suddenly rose to his feet. His eyes were filled with disbelief. It's really him. Yun Kuang also recognized Ning Fan. He let out a hearty laugh, feeling the joy of reuniting with an old friend. How could it be him? 40 years ago, he was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. What is his current cultivation base? Is he at the nascent soul realm or has he broken through to the divine transformation realm? Revered Snow could not figure out Ning Fan's current cultivation base. On the last seats of Wu country, a third-rate cultivation clan was also participating in this assembly. It was the Ning clan of Hai Ning. On the seats of the Ning clan, Ning Qingqing, who was dressed in green robes, stared at Ning Fan's back in a daze. Her eyes were filled with joy but also sadness. She muttered to herself. It's him. He is the mortal young man who saved me in the past. Ning Fan, the reason why the sects of Yu country were not afraid of Su Feinan was exactly because of Ning Fan's existence. Since he is here, he will never let Great Jin succeed in merging their countries. No one can annex Yu country. Since he is here, even King Jin would not be able to resist him. I am Ning Fan, the Lord of 7 Apricot City and also a cultivator of Yu country. Today, with me here, no one can annex Yu country. Ning Fan's voice was not loud but it carried an aura force that could not be ignored. It shook heaven and earth. As for what he said, it stunned all the cultivators in Lin Shui City. Ning Fan. This name sounds so familiar. It's just like Marquis White Robe, whose name shook the entire Rain world. However, everyone firmly believed that this Ning Fan was not the Ning Fan they knew. The white-robed young man in front of them claimed to be the young lord of 7 Apricot City and a cultivator of Yu country. How could he be the legendary Marquis White Robe who was unrivaled among Void Inquiry stage experts? It was impossible for the two of them to be the same person. I don't care who you are and I don't care what your purpose is in coming to Lin Shui City. You killed my subordinate, Su Feinan, and tried to stop me from merging my countries. Just these 2 points alone are enough for me to kill you today. Tianji, Wang Huang, activate the treasure destruction formation and capture this man alive or dead. Yes. Tianji Laoren and Wang Huang each took out a formation disc and activated the grand formation. Layers of formation light suddenly rose in the entire Lin Shui City. As soon as the formation light rose, all the magic treasures below the void treasure grade in the entire city were sealed by the formation light and could no longer be activated. This is a low-grade mortal void grand formation, the treasure destruction formation. All the magic treasures within the formation light can't be used as long as their grade is below the mortal void grade. With this formation, even if this man has the heavenly dwelling blood umbrella, he won't be able to use it to kill anyone. There's nothing to be afraid of. Wang Huang sneered. His body emitted layers of silver light and he dashed towards Ning Fan like a cannonball. From Wang Huang's point of view, the reason why Ning Fan could kill Su Feinan instantly was all because of the power of the blood umbrella. As for Ning Fan, who injured him and Tianji with just a glance, he must have relied on some kind of evil magic technique. After all, Wang Huang did not believe that there was actually someone in this world who could injure a nascent soul realm cultivator with just a glance. He firmly believed that once he seals the blood umbrella and keeps his guard up against Ning Fan's evil magic technique, Ning Fan would no longer have to be afraid of him. However, Wang Huang did not know that the grade of the blood umbrella was so high that this treasure destruction grand formation could not seal it at all. What he did not know was that his physical body, which was merely at the peak silver bone realm, was nothing to Ning Fan. Wang Huang's fist light turned into a dazzling silver color. A single punch from him could force a peak nascent soul realm cultivator to retreat. He was very confident in his physical body and firmly believed that he could kill Ning Fan with a single punch. Ning Fan did not even look at Wang Huang. He raised his palm and casually slapped it. An unimaginably strong force rushed towards Wang Huang, turning him into a pile of minced meat. Dead silence. The entire Lin Shui city fell into a dead silence once again. This time, Ning Fan did not use the blood umbrella at all. He just casually slapped Wang Huang to death. How strong is this man's physical body exactly? He could actually kill Wang Huang with just a casual slap. Could he be a legendary Jade Life body cultivator? Jade Life realm. That's an existence comparable to the Divine Transformation realm. Is this young man actually at the same level as a Divine Transformation realm cultivator? Exclamations of shock drowned the entire Lin Shui city. Ning Fan did not even look at Wang Huang's corpse. Instead, he turned his head to look at Tianji Laoren and said coldly, "Tianji, do you know who I am?" "And no. I don't know you." Tianji Laoren trembled when Ning Fan's gaze landed on him. "You can use divination to find out who I am and see if there is a blood feud between us," Ning Fan said coldly. Divination? When Tianji Laoren heard Ning Fan's words, his hands trembled. He pinched his fingers and divined Ning Fan's identity. However, as soon as he divined the heavenly secret that was related to Ning Fan, he immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood. He was already severely injured and his cultivation base was about to drop. All of a sudden, Tianji Laoren's face turned pale with fright. He could even divine the heavenly secret of a divine transformation realm cultivator. However, he actually could not divine Ning Fan's heavenly secret. There was only one explanation for this. Ning Fan's cultivation base was even higher than that of a divine transformation realm cultivator. From that glimpse of heavenly secrets, Tianji Laoren saw the scenes of bloody battles that Ning Fan had gone through. Tens of millions of cultivators and ferocious beasts were turned into skeletons under Ning Fan's feet. One after another, the Gold Core Realm and Nascent Soul Realm cultivators were killed by Ning Fan like ants. One after another, the legendary Divine Transformation Realm and Void Refinement Realm experts lost their lives in his hands. Ning Fan was actually an expert at such a high level. As for his true identity, it turned out to be Marquis White Robe, who possessed the strongest devil might in the Rain world. The Scarlet Heaven Palace Master was invincible in the world. Once he appeared, the world would be shrouded in white mourning garments. Old man Tianji could not believe that the white-robed young man standing in front of him was Marquis White Robe, who could strike fear into countless Void Refinement Realm experts. This heavenly secret was not a crucial secret. Ning Fan had purposely let Tianji Laoren see it. Otherwise, Tianji Laoren would certainly not be able to deduce any part of Ning Fan's heavenly secret. By only seeing this bit of heavenly secrets, the Elder of Heavenly Secrets was almost paralyzed from fright. From that heavenly secret, he even saw the deep hatred between him and Ning Fan. During the war between Yu Country and Devil Country, the Heavenly Dao sect invaded Yu Country and caused countless cultivators of Yu Country to die. Even Ning Fan almost lost his life. The reason why the Heavenly Dao sect invaded Yu Country was to take Ning Fan's life. As for Ning Fan's information, it was Tianji Laoren who sold it to them. This old man was muddle-headed in the past and offended. Tianji Laoren didn't dare to utter the 3 words Marquis White Robe, no matter what. Even if he climbed on the big tree of Great Gene, he was absolutely not Marquis White Robe's opponent. Becoming enemies with Marquis White Robe would only result in death. Bang! Tianji Laoren suddenly knelt down in front of Ning Fan. His face turned pale and he kept begging. In a state of panic, Tianji Laoren was so flustered that he blurted out a lot of bad things about King Jin, hoping to please Ning Fan. This scene once again shocked all the cultivators in Linshui City. Even the king's face turned ashen. What exactly did Tianji Laoren foresee to make him kneel down in fright? How dare you? What did you do to Tianji? Why did he kneel before you? Why did he talk nonsense? King Jin was enraged. He raised his hand and performed a hand seal to cast a magic technique at Ning Fan from a great distance away. Layers of black ocean waves suddenly appeared in the sky. It was actually the technique that made King Jin famous. Tyrannical technique, 10 tokens. In the past, this technique had made Ning Fan suffer greatly. But now, 40 years have passed. Do you think you can still suppress me? Break. Ning Fan lifted his hand and pointed at King Jin. An unimaginable force from his finger pressed against King Jin's chest, causing him to be severely injured and on the verge of death. The layers of tyrannical waves were shattered. King Jin spurted out blood and fell to the ground. He was severely injured and on the verge of death. This scene made countless cultivators in Linshui City fall into silence. No one would believe that a divine transformation realm cultivator who only existed in the legends was almost killed by Ning Fan with just a finger. King Jin lay on the ground like a dead dog. His immortal veins were all broken and he could not move at all. He stared at Ning Fan with unwillingness and fear. Even his bones were trembling. Ning Fan's finger was too terrifying. Even if King Jin cultivates for another 10,000 years, he certainly would not be able to withstand Ning Fan's casual finger. How can you be so strong? This is impossible. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Tianji, tell me. Who is he? Who exactly is he? He is. Before Tianji Laoren could speak, the angry voice of an elderly man suddenly resounded in the sky. How dare you? With me here, how can I allow a mad devil like you to kill the innocent and ruin the unification of Great Jin? A massive silver boat suddenly arrived at Linshui City. On the bow of the boat stood a majestic old man. His aura force was at the void inquiry stage. His aura force was so strong that even the surrounding space began to tremble. Oh my god! What level is this old monster? He can actually make the surrounding space tremble with just his aura. Could he be a legendary void refinement realm old monster? Some cultivators in Linshui City exclaimed. It's Marquis Wu Mu. He's the sect master of the martial sect, Marquis Wu Mu. Revered Snow recognized Marquis Wu Mu's identity. Marquis Wu Mu enjoyed the admiring gazes of the crowd and felt rather pleased with himself. He was not concerned about the unification of Great Jin. He just came out to relax. After all, he had come to participate in the assembly. Naturally, he could not just watch King Jin get injured. Even though he looked down on King Jin, he had to maintain his dignity. Nominally, since he had come to participate in the assembly, he had the obligation to help King Jin maintain the order of the assembly. Young man, who are you? How dare you injure someone in front of me? Are you tired of living? Marquis Wu Mu narrowed his eyes. He did not even bother to look at Ning Fan's appearance. In Marquis Wu Mu's point of view, most of the participants of the assembly were ants from low-grade and mid-grade cultivation countries. Who would be worthy of his attention? Oh. Marquis Wu Mu of the martial sect, huh? Are you sure you want to attack me? Ning Fan looked at Marquis Wu Mu with a cold smile. A wave of world-shaking baleful qi dyed the vast sky within hundreds of thousands of li red. Marquis Wu Mu was originally indifferent. However, when he was startled by the baleful qi, he immediately regained his senses and carefully looked at Ning Fan. It would have been better if he did not look at Ning Fan. Once he did, Marquis Wu Mu was so scared that he nearly peed his pants. He wished he could slap himself. What did I do just now? I actually spoke so harshly to a devil lord that I should never offend. Marquis Wu Mu nearly fell off the silver boat. His pathetic actions made countless cultivators dumbfounded. What he said after that made them even more dumbfounded. "Be fellow Taoist, you must be joking. Even if I have the courage to do so, I wouldn't dare to offend fellow Taoist. Hee hee. I was just joking just now. Fellow Taoist, please don't be calculative with me. I don't want to get involved in the assembly of the Great Gene at all. I have something to attend to. I'll take my leave first." As soon as Marquis Wu Mu saw Ning Fan's appearance, he was actually scared away. Impossible. Marquis Wu Mu is a void refinement realm expert. How could he be scared away by this man? I don't believe it. This is fake. I don't believe it. King Jin was completely terrified. At this moment, he did not dare to think about Ning Fan's identity at all. He could not imagine what kind of identity and what kind of ferocious reputation could actually scare away the sect master of the martial sect. Everything is real. He is Marquis White Robe. He is Marquis White Robe. Tianji Laoren smiled in despair. The entire Lin Shui city fell into dead silence. Even the cultivators of Yu country were quiet. The Lord of Seven Apricot City was actually Marquis White Robe, who had shaken the entire Rain world. How could this be possible? I can't die. I can't die. This isn't real. All of this is fake. King Jin suddenly behaved as if he had gone mad. He could not believe that a harmonious spirit realm junior 40 years ago had actually become the invincible Marquis White Robe 40 years later. Meeting Ning Fan's cold eyes, King Jin was terrified. He could tell that Ning Fan would definitely kill him today. He would certainly kill him. He had sent people to injure Ning Fan's subordinates. He had plotted against Ning Fan in the past. He must die for sure. However, how could he be willing to accept his death? King Jin suddenly raised his head and shouted at the sky. "Palace Lord, save me! Vice Palace Lord, save me! I'm useful to the sixth prince. I'm of great use to him. You can't let him kill me. I know that you are here. You must be here." Sigh. Above the vast sky, a sigh suddenly resounded. Then, two old men who looked exactly the same appeared. However, one of them was dressed in white and the other was dressed in black. The two old men stared at Ning Fan coldly and threatened him. "Both of us are here. You can't hurt King Jin. This person is still of great use to the sixth prince. If he dies, you can't afford to offend the sixth prince." The Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace, Fang Sheng. The Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace, Fang Si. Both of them were Void Pierce stage cultivators. As soon as they appeared, layers of Void Seas suddenly appeared. "If you insist on killing King Jin, you have to get past us first. Otherwise, we won't be able to give the sixth prince an explanation." Chapter 527. The two old men, Fang Sheng and Fang Si, stood on the ocean of void respectively. Their auras were like divine beings. King Jin was barely breathing. He raised his head to look at the two old men. His face was filled with excitement as if he had just survived a disaster. "Palace Masters, please save me. I'm still of great use to the sixth prince. You can't just leave me in the lurch." "Shut up." Deputy Palace Master Fang Si snorted coldly. His magic power, as dark as ink, pressed down on King Jin and interweaved into numerous black fishing lines, piercing into King Jin's limbs and bones, leaving numerous tiny bloody holes on his body. The black fishing lines had some kind of ability. They extracted traces of strange black chi from King Jin's body and actually suppressed his critical injuries. The Palace Master Fang Sheng, on the other hand, was expressionless. He reached out his hand and clawed at King Jin from afar. Traces of white magic power immediately interweaved into a mysterious and huge fishing net. Fang Xing shook the fishing net and spread it in King Jin's direction. Then, he pulled King Jin away from his original spot from 10,000 zhang away. When he looked again, King Jin had already appeared in the huge net out of nowhere. He was pulled to Fang Xing's side and casually tossed to the few clusters of immortal clouds behind him along with the net. Marquis White Robe. Since you want to take King Jin's life, fight with us first. The two of them stared at Ning Fan coldly. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Fang Xi's fishing line was very strange. He could not see through its specific ability. Fang Xing's attack was extremely fast. The fishing net was also very strange. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's incredible eyesight, he would not have been able to see how Fang Xing controlled the fishing net to take King Jin away. In just a short while, Ning Fan was convinced that the Palace Master and Vice Palace Master of the Serene Heaven Palace were not easy to deal with. They were extremely strong opponents. At the same time, Ning Fan was a little suspicious about their intentions. They didn't seem to come to save King Jin. Instead, they seemed to have other intentions. On the surface, they seemed to want to protect King Jin and fight against Ning Fan. However, their words and actions were somewhat contradictory. They had obviously saved King Jin, but they just casually left him aside. It didn't make sense. If what the two of them said was true, that King Jin was of great use to the sixth prince and was so important that he had to be saved, their first task after rescuing King Jin should be to bring him away from here. Their top priority was to protect King Jin's life instead of staying here and entangling with Ning Fan endlessly, putting King Jin in danger. What did he mean by, if you want to take King Jin's life, you must fight with us first? Their words seemed to be hinting to Ning Fan that if he defeats the two of them, he would be able to kill King Jin at will. If he wants to kill King Jin, he would have to fight both of them. It seemed like the two of them wanted to use King Jin as bait to lure Ning Fan into a battle with them. Is the reason why these two people showed up because they came for me? Ning Fan's eyes narrowed as he vaguely had a guess. He did not immediately fight with the two. Instead, he took a few steps back and looked on coldly. Since this person is of great use to the sixth prince, I will give him face and not kill him. You guys can take him away. Ning Fan intentionally pointed at King Jin and said. Fang Sheng and Fang Si were stunned. Obviously, they did not expect that Ning Fan would actually give up on killing King Jin. This was completely different from the information they received about Ning Fan's character. Logically speaking, after being threatened by the two of them several times, Ning Fan should have fought them without caring about anything. Why did he choose to give up? If Ning Fan doesn't fight them, wouldn't their plan fail to be completed? Just like what Ning Fan had guessed, the reason why the two of them showed up at this place was not to save King Jin. Instead, it was because they were ordered by the sixth prince, Yunyomu, to find something to test Ning Fan. Indeed, the reason why the Serene Heaven Palace supported Jin and nurtured King Jin was because King Jin was of some use to the sixth prince. However, that was just a minor use that was dispensable. It was definitely not as important as this time to test Ning Fan. The sixth prince ordered Fang Sheng and Fang Si to fight Ning Fan and to test him during the battle. For the sake of this plan, it did not matter even if they had to abandon King Jin. What Fang Sheng and Fang Si did not know was that Ning Fan had already suspected them of having ulterior motives. Seeing that Ning Fan had given up on killing King Jin, the two of them no longer had any reason to fight him. Fang Si let out a cold humph and took a step forward, blocking Ning Fan's path of retreat. His aura force turned into a gigantic black mountain, pressing down on Ning Fan's head. Marquis White Robe, why are you in such a hurry to leave? This old man is the Vice Palace Master of the Serene Heaven Palace, Fang Si. I've long heard of your remarkable abilities, Marquis White Robe. Today, I've specially come to ask for your guidance. Fellow Taoist, by fleeing without a fight, are you afraid of this old man? Fang Si had clearly saved King Jin, but he insisted on fighting Ning Fan. As expected, he had ulterior motives. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. The reason why he pretended to say that he would let King Jin go was just to test the motives of the two palace lords. At this moment, he was completely sure that Fang Sheng and Fang Si had made an appearance here because they were plotting against him. Saving King Jin was just an excuse. Since Fang Si wanted to fight, Ning Fan would not hesitate to do so. He wanted to see what exactly Fang Si was planning. Since you want to fight, then make your move. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. His aura force soared to the sky like an ancient sword hanging in the heavens, shattering Fang Si's black mountain into countless pieces. Fang Si was indeed very strong. However, to the current Ning Fan, he might not necessarily be invincible. Fang Si's eyes widened slightly. He did not expect that his aura force would be easily broken by Ning Fan. His initial underestimation towards Ning Fan was completely dispelled. He also realized that Ning Fan was a strong opponent. Thus, he no longer held back. He soared into the sky and took out a treasure. Tai E5 Elements Scrolls. Fang Si did not hold back. As soon as he attacked, he took out 5 ancient scrolls. They were the magic treasures of an ancient cultivator that he had found in a secret place. Each of the 5 scrolls had different drawings that represented the 5 elements. The 5 scrolls unfurled in the wind. A vast power of the 5 elements burst out from the scrolls, turning into 5 extreme mountains of 5 colors. The colors were gold, green, blue, red and yellow respectively. All of them pressed down on Ning Fan's head. Each of the extreme mountains was 10,000 zhang tall. Their magic power was vast enough to suppress a void inquiry stage cultivator. When the 5 mountains combined into one, they could even suppress an ordinary void pierce stage cultivator. All of the cultivators in Lin Shui City were shocked by Fang Si's terrifying magic treasures. If the 5 extreme mountains fall, the entire area within 100,000 li of Lin Shui City would be razed to the ground. Not even a single blade of grass would be left. Ji He, Lan Mei and Bai Lu were also sitting on the seats of Yu country. Each of them was looking at Ning Fan with worry in their eyes. Ning Fan looked at the cultivators around him and sighed softly. There were many cultivators here who were his old acquaintances. Besides, there were also the women he loved. No matter what, it was impossible for him to avoid Fang Si's attack. The only thing he could do was to fight against him. He must not let the 5 extreme mountains fall and hurt those beautiful women. Yellow Dragon 7 Tokens. Ning Fan flew into the sky. All of a sudden, he took out 7 layers of the Yellow Dragon token and summoned 7 layers of yellow skies. Using his great magic power, he lifted the 7 layers of yellow skies and rose against the sky, colliding with the 5 extreme mountains. The 5 extreme mountains crumbled one after another. 5 layers of the 7 layers of yellow skies were also destroyed. The impact of the collision was earth-shattering. The city walls of Lin Shui City were destroyed one after another. Even the mountain ranges of Song Country had collapsed due to the collision. Even though the Yellow Dragon 7 tokens managed to block the 5 extreme mountains, Ning Fan did not feel relaxed at all. All of a sudden, his eyes flashed with surprise. Black fishing lines that were as dense as raindrops shot out from each of the 5 broken extreme mountains. They easily pierced through the remaining 2 layers of yellow skies. Under the attack of the black fishing lines, the Yellow Dragon 7 tokens suddenly turned into dust as if they were decaying. What kind of ability does this black fishing line actually have? It's so strange that it can corrode magic treasures. Ning Fan did not mind losing the Yellow Dragon 7 tokens. After all, he had as many magic treasures as he wanted. However, Fang Si's black fishing line ability really made Ning Fan feel a little fearful. Even though Ning Fan's physical body was strong, his physical body would probably rot if he was hit by the black fishing line. Even a 2-star divine weapon might not be able to withstand the corrosive power of the fishing line. The surprise in Ning Fan's eyes did not escape Fang Si's observation. Humph. The famous Marquis White Robe is just so. Even though Fang Xi spoke ruthlessly, his heart was filled with disappointment. This young man doesn't seem to recognize my fishing line ability. That surprised expression of his doesn't seem fake. Could it be that it's just a coincidence that he knows the mutual death technique of the Shedding Orchid sect? Could it be that this young man hasn't obtained the inheritance of the Shedding Orchid sect and doesn't know the whereabouts of the immemorial fisherman's Mino? Fang Xi shook his head slightly. No matter what, he still needed to test him again. He pointed at the Tai 5 elemental scrolls again and activated the second transformation of this treasure. This Tai 5 elemental scrolls was a magic treasure of an ancient cultivator. Because it was severely damaged, its destructive power was only equivalent to a high-grade mortal void magic treasure. However, its ability was definitely not to be underestimated. The transformation of this treasure was divided into 3 stages. They were the 5 mountains, 5 seas and 5 dragons. Previously, when Fang Xi used this treasure to unleash the attack of the 5 extreme mountains, it was the attack of the 5 mountains. What he was going to display now was the attack of the 5 seas. Gee! As Fang Xi pointed with his finger, the 5 scrolls each released the power of the 5 elements, turning into a 5-colored sea. The waves swept across the sky and drowned Ning Fan in an instant. Ning Fan stood in the middle of the waves, enduring the 5 types of attacks from the 5-colored waves. The coldness of water, the scorching heat of fire, the devouring power of wood, the crushing power of earth, the slashing power of metal. In just an instant, Ning Fan's body was already covered with many wounds. Blood kept flowing out. Without hesitation, Ning Fan summoned his primordial lightning armor and used the Black Star technique to heal his wounds. Finally, he managed to withstand the attack of the 5-colored waves. He stepped on the waves, ignoring the attacks of the waves. His essence chi flowed through his arms. It was as if he had the power to overturn mountains and overturn seas. Then, he used both of his hands to tear the waves apart. His primordial lightning armor isn't weak at all. It actually withstood the second attack of the Tai 5 elemental scrolls. But so what? With the power of his current lightning armor, it won't be able to withstand the decaying power of the immemorial fishing lines. Even though what I have learned is just the incomplete technique of the immemorial fishing lines, even an absolute void stage cultivator might not be able to withstand it. Fang Xi's magic power flowed out rapidly. He suddenly performed a hand seal and countless black fishing lines emerged from the scattered 5-colored waves, piercing towards Ning Fan. Without hesitation, Ning Fan summoned his 8 black burning wings. While retreating rapidly, he took out a few mortal void magic treasures and threw them at the fishing lines, using them to wear down the power of the fishing lines. As soon as the few mortal void magic treasures came into contact with the fishing lines, they were all pierced and turned into rotten pieces. Even though Ning Fan had retreated extremely quickly, his primordial lightning armor was still damaged by the black fishing lines. Once again, Ning Fan had a clear understanding of the destructive power of the black fishing lines. Unless his cultivation base breaks through to the absolute void stage, it will be very difficult for him to withstand the attack of these fishing lines head-on. As expected, he doesn't recognize the immemorial fishing lines technique. Fine. I'll use the third attack to test him one last time. Fang Xi activated the Tai 5 elemental scrolls for the last time. The power of the 5 elements on the 5 scrolls turned into 5 gigantic dragons that soared in the sky. Flame Dragon, Ice Dragon, Earth Dragon, Wood Dragon and Lightning Dragon. Each of the gigantic dragons was 6,000 zhang long. Each of them had the strength of an unrivaled Void Inquiry stage expert. Even a Void Pierce stage expert would find it hard to withstand the joint attack of the 5 dragons. More importantly, Fang Xi would also sneak attack Ning Fan with the terrifying black fishing lines during his attacks. From Fang Xi's point of view, Ning Fan would definitely not be able to withstand this attack. Fang Xi did not have the intention to kill Ning Fan. After all, Ning Fan was useful to the Rain Sovereign. Without the Rain Sovereign's order, no one would dare to touch him. This attack would at most injure Ning Fan a little. Fang Xi's initial purpose was just to test Ning Fan. He did not harbor any hostility towards him. There's no need to watch anymore. This young man is definitely not a match for me. After this round of attacks ends, let's bring King Jin back to the Serene Heaven Palace and report to the sixth prince. Fang Xi transmitted his voice to Fang Sheng with a confident tone of victory. As he pointed his finger, the 5 gigantic dragons let out deafening dragon roars and spat out 5-colored dragon light. As soon as the 5-colored dragon light is unleashed, Ning Fan would at least be severely injured. Ning Fan did not dodge or evade. Facing the 5 gigantic dragons, he just closed his eyes and thought quickly. It was not difficult to break the joint attack of the 5 dragons. It was as easy as breaking the 5 mountains and 5 seas. The difficult part was how to deal with the black fishing line that was hidden within the 5 dragons' attack. That black fishing line looks a little familiar to me. It's just like the white Dao line that I saw when I sent Ninggu to his reincarnation. That white line is the Dao line of life, while this black line is similar to the Dao line of life. However, its power is the opposite. Could it be the Dao line of death? No. It's not the real Dao line of death. Even though the black fishing line that Fang Xi used looks similar to the Dao line of death, it doesn't look like it. There is no Dao power in his fishing line. It's just a deliberate imitation. I can't be wrong. This black fishing line must be an imitation of the Dao line of death. In that case, the white fishing net that Fang Xing used just now should be a divine ability that imitates the Dao line of life. Little Yu Er said that the Dao line of life and death is a divine ability that only life immortal realm experts can master. Since these two people can imitate the divine ability of life immortal realm experts, it's no wonder that the black fishing line is so difficult to deal with. Ning Fan opened his eyes and raised his palm. He looked at the traces of white Dao line on his palm and fell into deep thought. Fang Xi can only imitate the Dao line of death. I, on the other hand, can see the Dao line of life. By using life to subdue death, perhaps I can break the divine ability of that black fishing line. Ning Fan stared at the 5 enormous dragons that were whistling in the sky. All of a sudden, he activated his Fuli demon blood and performed a hand seal to perform a technique. 5 gigantic black tombstones appeared in the sky one after another. Each of the tombstones was surrounded by the shadows of black dragons. 5 burial dragon technique. The 5-colored enormous dragons that Fang Xi summoned belonged to the 5 elements. However, the 5 burial dragon technique specialized in breaking the 5 elements. When the 5 dragons die, the black dragons live. When the 5 elements die, the 5 graves live. Ning Fan changed his hand seal and the 5 tombstones suddenly smashed towards the 5 enormous dragons, causing them to spurt out blood and fall from the sky. What was even more frightening was that the 5 tombstones suddenly produced the sealing power of the black dragons, sealing all the power of the 5 elements that the 5 enormous dragons possessed into the tombstones. The 5 tombstones continued to smash down and countless black shadows of the tombstones landed on the Tai 5 elemental scrolls. The 5 scrolls that were floating in the sky were all shattered by the tombstones. All of them were destroyed. My Tai 5 elemental scrolls. Fang Xi's face was filled with astonishment. He did not expect Ning Fan to be able to destroy his supreme treasure. Before the first round of astonishment could fade away, the second round of astonishment struck him even more violently. As the 5 dragons were sealed, the countless black fishing lines that Fang Xi had hidden in the 5 dragons broke out from the tombstones and pierced towards Ning Fan with unstoppable force like raindrops. This time, Ning Fan no longer dodged the attack of the black fishing lines. He raised his palm and imitated Fang Xi's black fishing lines. He drew out countless white fishing lines and scattered them in the sky, colliding with the black fishing lines. Zzz, there was no earth-shattering sound. There was only a strange sizzling sound. The fishing lines of 2 different colors strangely cancelled each other out. Fang Xi's black fishing line technique was broken in a direct confrontation. How is this possible? Fang Xi stared at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He was very sure that the white fishing lines that Ning Fan drew out had absolutely nothing to do with the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. It was just a magic technique that Ning Fan learned on the spot. What he could not believe was that the white fishing lines that Ning Fan drew out contained an extremely terrifying existence of Dao power. He had absolutely no idea what the white fishing lines were condensed from. With Fang Xi's current cultivation base, how could he possibly know that the white fishing lines that Ning Fan drew out were the Dao line of life? Just as Fang Xi was lost in thought, Ning Fan flapped his 8 black burning wings and attacked him forcefully. Ning Fan channeled all of his magic power and essence qi into his palm and sent out 108 layers of palm imprints towards Fang Xi. Ning Fan was becoming more and more skillful in displaying the execution devil palm. With his current cultivation base, he actually gave Fang Xi a feeling that he could not withstand it. Not good. It's not easy to withstand this palm attack. Fang Xi stared at the gigantic palm imprint of the execution devil palm and his eyes widened in astonishment. His strongest ability was undoubtedly the immemorial fishing line technique. However, it was cancelled out by Ning Fan's Dao line of life. It was impossible for him to reform the fishing lines within a short period of time. As for his strongest magic treasure, the Tai 5 elemental scrolls, it was destroyed by Ning Fan's 5 graves dragon burial technique. With Fang Xi's other magical treasures and divine abilities, none of them were strong enough to resist the execution demon palm. In a panic, Fang Xi summoned a small green shield and placed it in front of him. He then immediately turned into a ray of light and retreated in an attempt to dodge the demonic palm. The small green shield was a mid-grade mortal void defensive magic treasure. However, it was turned into ashes by the execution devil palm in just an instant. Fang Xi's escape light was not fast enough, but the speed of the palm print was even faster. At this moment, Fang Xi no longer had the calmness he had when he was controlling the fishing line. All he wanted to do was to dodge the demonic palm attack, but no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to do so. Ah! A blood-curdling scream rang out in the sky. Fang Xi's eyes were filled with shock as he vomited blood and fell from the sky. He, the dignified Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace and a dignified Void Pierce stage cultivator, had actually lost to Ning Fan. Looking at Fang Xi who was falling from the sky like a kite with a broken string, Ning Fan did not chase after him. Instead, he immediately consumed a pill to recover his magic power and coldly stared at a certain direction in the sky. You've been waiting for a long time. Are you still not going to show yourself? Pa! 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 Suddenly, a series of applause rang out in the empty sky. A young man wearing black embroidered robes suddenly appeared. This young man's long hair was tied to one side. There was a deep scar on his face that was so deep that his bones could be seen. Both of his eyes were squinted all the time, carrying an unfathomable smile. Although this person was smiling, he gave Ning Fan a cold feeling that came from the depths of his bones. This person is very dangerous. Ha! Marquis White Robe has great skills. You are obviously just at the Void Glimpse stage, but you managed to defeat Fang Xi who is at the Void Pierce stage by relying on your ancient devil abilities. It really surprised me. The young man with a scar was still smiling. Be careful. This person is a cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. Moreover, his body contains both life and death qi. It is clearly a sign that he has comprehended the Dao line of life and death. This person cannot be underestimated. Luo Yu reminded Ning Fan in the profound Yin world. Ning Fan, of course, knew that the young man with a scar was not to be underestimated. After all, he could feel an extremely strong sense of danger from this person. Since this person would appear in this place, Ning Fan had already vaguely guessed his identity. Scarlet Heaven Palace Lord Ning Fan greets the Poison Cloud Prince. The Poison Cloud Prince's name was Yunyomu. He was ranked 6th among the 7 princes. He was the prince who was in charge of the Serene Heaven Palace. Ning Fan's mind raced as he secretly pondered about the purpose of Yun Yomu's visit. From Fang Xi's various actions, Ning Fan could guess that Fang Xi was under Yun Yomu's order to test him. Ning Fan had no idea what exactly they were testing him for. However, seeing that Yun Yomu did not seem to be hostile towards him, Ning Fan guessed that they probably did not get what they wanted from him. Just as Ning Fan was pondering, Yun Yomu suddenly opened his eyes. His dark green pupils flashed with a cold light like that of a poisonous snake. He took out an ancient painting and spread it in front of Ning Fan. "Have you seen this before?" His tone did not allow anyone to lie. Ning Fan did not expect that Yun Yomu would behave in such a strange manner. However, his expression did not change at all. Instead, he indifferently glanced at the painting. Without a doubt, it was a painting that had just been created not long ago. The ink had yet to dry. In the painting, there was a fisherman wearing a black straw raincoat. He was holding a black fishing rod and fishing line. Beside him was a white fishing net. He was sitting in the middle of a boat and fishing alone in the cold river. "I've never seen it before." There was no need for Ning Fan to lie. His expression naturally did not show any signs of falsehood. "Is that so? It turns out to be a misunderstanding. I apologize for my rudeness." Yun Yomu narrowed his eyes again and revealed a harmless smile. All of a sudden, he drew a dark green sword from his waist and slashed at Fang Xi and King Jin with lightning speed. The sword that he slashed at King Jin directly turned him into a pile of meat paste. Even his primordial spirit died before it could escape. As for the sword that he slashed at Fang Xi, it chopped off his left arm. "Sixth Prince, what do you mean by this?" Ning Fan asked expressionlessly. Marquis White Robe is the Palace Lord of the Scarlet Heaven Palace, while Fang Xi is just the Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace. Today, Fang Xi attacked Marquis White Robe and it can be considered as an offense against his superior. Therefore, I decided to punish him a little as a form of compensation to Marquis White Robe. I hope that Marquis White Robe won't hold a grudge against me just because of Fang Xi's small mistake. Yun Yomu seemed to always be smiling with his eyes squinted. "Of course, I can also give you other forms of compensation. As long as Marquis White Robe requests it and I can do it, I will never refuse." Ning Fan remained silent. He stared at Yun Yomu as if he wanted to see through his true intentions. This person's actions were completely random. No one could figure out what he was thinking. Just as Ning Fan was pondering about Yun Yomu's intentions, Luo Yu, who was in the profound Yin world, fell into deep shock after seeing the painting. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. There's no mistaking it. The painting that Yun Yomu is holding is an imitation of the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. It's one of the 4 ancient paintings that are rumored to contain the Tao path of life and death. Chapter 528. Ning Fan, the painting that Yun Yomu showed you is an imitation. The original painting that he imitates is called the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. It is one of the 4 ancient paintings. The great Tao is hidden in the painting, and it is something that countless true immortals dream of obtaining. The reason why Yun Yomu sent people to probe you is because he suspects that you know the whereabouts of the 4 ancient maps. Luo Yu's reminder sounded in Ning Fan's mind. Ning Fan's heart was filled with astonishment, but he did not show it on his face. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting? 4 ancient diagrams? This was the first time he heard of the archaic fisherman's picture. Even though he didn't know what it was, since it could cause so many immortals to desire it, it must be a treasure. If Yun Yomu suspected that Ning Fan knew the whereabouts of the map, it would make sense for him to send someone to probe Ning Fan. However, why did Yun Yomu think that Ning Fan might know the whereabouts of this map? He could not figure it out. However, Ning Fan was certain that he had absolutely nothing to do with this painting. Even if Yun Yomu really wants this painting, there was no need for him to look for him. Looking at Ning Fan's calm expression from beginning to end, Yun Yomu thought to himself, Could it be that this young man really does not know the whereabouts of the immemorial fisherman's woven straw painting? Yun Yomu had once obtained an imitation of the primordial fisherman's mino from an ancient cultivator's ruin. It also contained the incomplete copies of the primordial fishing line and the creation fishing net. With these two incomplete techniques, Yun Yomu even managed to comprehend the Tao line of life and death. Moreover, he managed to cultivate some of the life and death qi in his body. His combat strength was no small matter. He could even put up a fight against a cultivator at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. If Yun Yomu's comprehension of the life and death qi improved a little, he would have a high chance of breaking through life and death and ascending to become an immortal. Therefore, Yun Yomu placed his attention on the primordial fisherman's mino. He searched through the ancient ruins and finally found a clue in one of the ancient cultivator ruins. According to rumors, the founder of the Shedding Orchid sect had once obtained the immemorial fisherman's mino painting, but it was lost in the end, and its whereabouts were unknown. The Shedding Orchid sect used to be a sect in the Rain world, but it had already fallen countless years ago. Its ruins were in the immortal Burning Valley. Yun Yomu entered the immortal Burning Valley several times, but he did not find any clues about the immemorial fisherman's straw painting. During the Battle of 100 Sects, Ning Fan had displayed the mutual death technique in the giant devil clan. According to Yun Yomu's investigation, this technique was exactly the technique that the Shedding Orchid sect had been famous for a period of time. Yun Yomu naturally suspected that Ning Fan had obtained the Tao inheritance of the Shedding Orchid sect. He suspected that Ning Fan knew the whereabouts of the immemorial fisherman's woven cowhide painting. However, after several attempts, Yun Yomu could not help but believe that Ning Fan had never heard of the immemorial fisherman's mino before. Since Ning Fan did not know the whereabouts of the map, there was no need for Yun Yomu to target Ning Fan and become his enemy. Marquis White Robe seems to have some complaints against me. But you don't have to worry. I don't have any enmity towards you, only goodwill. Ha, this prince and old man Chu are in charge of the Serene Heaven Palace together, and this prince has heard of Marquis White Robe's fame from old man Chu more than once. Now that I've seen it for myself, it's really extraordinary. With Marquis White Robe's innate talent, I'm afraid it's highly possible for him to break through to the void fragmentation realm in the future. Yun Yomu narrowed his eyes with a faint smile. Is that so? Ning Fan did not comment on Yun Yomu's words. Yun Yomu seemed easygoing on the surface, but he was cold and cruel on the inside. From how he casually killed King Jin and cut off Fang Xi's arm, Ning Fan could tell that he was a ruthless and cold-blooded person. Among the 7 princes of the Rain Palace, the eldest prince, Yun Tianjue, guarded the Great Heaven Palace. People called him the white-robed sword god, but he was not the biological son of the Rain sovereign. The second prince, Yun Xiaoxiang, guarded the vast Heaven Palace and called himself the Imperial Cloud Prince. The third prince, Yun Bushu, guarded the profound Heaven Palace and called himself the Idle Cloud Prince. He was the only prince who had a friendly relationship with Yun Tianjue. Just like Yun Tianjue, he was not the biological son of the Rain sovereign. The fourth prince used to guard the Yang Heaven Palace. However, he was killed by Yun Tianjue with a single sword strike in the end. Since then, the Yang Heaven had no master. The fifth prince guarded the Vermilion Heaven Palace. His name was Yun Zhongyan and he called himself the Flaming Cloud Prince. The sixth prince, Yun Yomu, called himself the Poison Cloud Prince and guarded the Serene Heaven Palace together with Chu Chang'an. The seventh prince, Yun Jinghong, called himself the Rainbow Cloud Prince. He guarded the Scarlet Heaven Palace that Ning Fan was in. Other than the 7 great palaces that were guarded by the 7 princes, the remaining 2 great palaces, the Completion Heaven Palace and the Changing Heaven Palace, were guarded by Yun Daoku and the other 4 great void fragmentation realm experts. The Rain Sovereign, the 7th Prince and the 4 great void fragmentation realm experts. They were the strongest combat power in the Rain immortal world. Ning Fan's thoughts raced. Yun Yomu's cultivation base might not be the highest among the princes. However, just based on the life and death qi in his body alone, he was definitely a dangerous person. Fang Xi's black fishing line technique was definitely taught to him by Yunyomu. Since Fang Xi was already so powerful, Yunyomu must be even more terrifying. I have not been strict enough with my subordinates. I have actually offended Marquis White Robe. I'm willing to give Marquis White Robe some compensation. Yunyomu paused for a moment and waved his hand to take out an exquisite storage pouch. He then passed it to Ning Fan and said with a smile, "I'll give these little toys to Marquis White Robe as a little compensation for me. Farewell." Yunyomu narrowed his eyes and flicked his sleeve. A vast magic power swept up Fang Sheng and Fang Xi, and they vanished without a trace as they swaggered off. Phew. That terrifying fellow has finally left. He patted her chest. She was very worried that Yunyomu would hurt Ning Fan. Seeing that Yunyomu had left, she naturally heaved a sigh of relief. The entire Lin Shui city was dead silent. No one dared to speak casually. Only the sounds of saliva being swallowed could be heard. The city lord of Yu Country's 7 Apricot City was actually Marquis White Robe, who was famous in the Rain world. With Ning Fan around, who would dare to provoke Yu Country in the future? Even the Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace was defeated by Ning Fan. Even the sect master of the martial sect was scared away by Ning Fan. Even the 6th Prince of the Rain Palace had to smile at Ning Fan. This was the aura of Marquis White Robe. Now that King Jin was dead, Great Jin was destined to be doomed. Tianji Laoren even knelt on the ground. His old face was filled with fear. He had plotted against Ning Fan in the past. He still did not know what kind of consequences he would face. On the seats of Wu Country, the 3 Gold Core Realm old ancestors of the Ning family of Hai Ning looked at Ning Fan in disbelief. Many years ago, the 3 ancestors of the Ning family had the same dream at the same time. In the dream, a mortal young man named Ning Fan had crushed the earth vein of Hai Ning with a single step. After having the strange dream that year, the 3 ancestors of the Ning family had investigated everywhere, but they could not find any information about the young man in the dream. Gradually, they forgot about the strange dream. Today, the 3 ancestors of the Ning family finally knew that the young man in the dream that year was actually Marquis White Robe, who was famous in the Rain world. Impossible. Even though my Ning family isn't a benevolent family, we have never done any evil deeds. Why would we provoke such a terrifying person? Young Master Tian, Ning Tian, was the person with the highest innate potential in the Ning family. After being nurtured meticulously by the Ning family, he had already become a mid-harmonious spirit realm cultivator after just over 40 years. Looking at Ning Fan's unreachable back, he felt a bone-chilling coldness. He recognized Ning Fan. He recognized that this person was a mortal whom he had bullied in the past. He was the one who sold Ning Fan to the All-Pleasure sect. The mortal young man whom I bullied in the past has actually become a void refinement realm old monster. I'm dead meat. I'm dead meat. Miss Qing, Ning Qingqing, sighed continuously. She was also a talented descendant of the Ning family. Now, she was already a late harmonious spirit realm female cultivator. She owed Ning Fan a favor of saving her life. In the past, when she was bathing in the pond of Ning Bai Mountain, she was almost defiled by a group of villains. If it wasn't for Ning Fan who shouted and reminded her, she would certainly not be able to escape from the calamity. She was saved, but Ning Fan offended the villains because of that and got himself in trouble. In the past, she did not know that Ning Fan was her benefactor. She also did not know that Ning Tian had sold him to Wu Country. When she accidentally saved Ning Fan from Ning Tian, she did not even know that the mortal young man was her benefactor. When she found out the truth, she could no longer find Ning Fan and could not repay his kindness in the past. When she finally found Ning Fan, he had already gotten rid of his mortal body. Moreover, he stood proudly at the peak of the Rain world in a way that she could never imagine. He was so strong that she could only look up to him. Ning Fan. I no longer have the chance to repay your kindness in this life, am I right? She smiled bitterly. Now that Ning Fan had become Marquis White Robe, why would he need a harmonious spirit realm junior to repay his kindness? Back then, she was the heaven and he was the earth. Now, she was the earth and he was the heaven. Ning Fan landed on the jade platform that was floating in the air. His eyes scanned across the surroundings. His gaze swept past Tianji Laoren and the Ning clan of Hai Ning. All of a sudden, he felt a little dispirited. Old man Tianji and Ning Tian had a grudge against him, so they had to die. However, the Ning family of Haining and the cultivators of the Wu kingdom were not guilty. The enmity of the past had already faded, and he did not want to kill more people in Wu country. Now, looking back on the mortal world, he had once left his footprints in the mountains and rivers of Wu country. The Ning family of Haining had adopted him as an orphan and raised him up. He was not in a hurry to look at the storage bag Yun Yomu had given him. Instead, he slowly walked over to the Elder of Heavenly Secrets and coldly said, "Kill yourself." No, no. I know I was wrong. I was muddle-headed back then, that's why I sold Senior's information to Tiandao sect. I know I was wrong. Senior, please give me a chance and spare my life. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. If you don't want to kill yourself, then I will send you off. Ning Fan's expression was cold. He pointed a finger at Old Man Tianji's forehead. Old Man Tianji's body shuddered and his expression froze forever. His nascent soul was crushed and his corpse fell limply to the ground. I'm not a kind person. I will definitely take revenge if I have a grudge and return kindness if I have one. That's all. You made a huge mistake in the past and caused the death of countless cultivators of Yu country. You even nearly killed Jihe. Now that I'm going to kill you, this grudge can go back to ashes and dust to dust. Ning Fan did not even look at Old Man Tianji's corpse. His coldness made countless cultivators tremble. He slowly walked towards the seats of Wu country and the Ning family of Haining. Every step he took made the cultivators of Wu country extremely nervous. The third ancestor of the Ning family was even more terrified. Is Marquis White Robe trying to destroy my Ning family? Are we going to die? The third ancestor did not even have the courage to run away. Ning Fan. Spare me. I was muddle-headed in the past and that's why I harmed you. I was muddle-headed in the past. Ning Tian suddenly rushed out of the seats of the Ning family and knelt down in front of Ning Fan. He kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Countless cultivators of the Ning family were stunned. It turned out that Ning Tian was the one who provoked Ning Fan. It turned out that Ning Tian was the one who caused a huge disaster for the Ning family. Ning Fan's expression was still cold. He slowly uttered a few words. Ning Tian, you made a huge mistake to me and Ning Gu in the past. You must pay with your life. It's impossible for me to spare you. Since you won't spare me, I will fight you to the death. Ning Tian's eyes suddenly flashed with madness. He shot out a mid-grade flying sword from his long sleeve and pierced it at Ning Fan's dantian. Ning Fan did not even look at that mid-grade flying sword. When it was 3 inches away from Ning Fan's body, it was directly burned into ashes by Ning Fan's vast magic power. Even if the current Ning Fan stands still, Ning Tian would definitely not be able to hurt him. This was the difference between their cultivation bases. Impossible. I don't believe it. 40 years ago, you were just a mortal. How could you become so strong? I don't believe it. I, Ning Tian, am the favored child of heaven. Who do you think you are? Why does heaven favor you so much? Ah! Ning Fan did not give Ning Tian the chance to continue shouting. With a point of his index finger, Ning Tian turned into ashes and disappeared. With that, the grudges of Wu country were settled. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, are you the 3 ancestors of the Ning family? Ning Fan's tone was extremely indifferent as he looked at Hai Ning's seat. Yes. We are the 3 ancestors of the Ning family. The 3 ancestors of the Ning family were horrified. They immediately cupped their fists and bowed to Ning Fan while trembling. They did not know how Ning Fan would deal with the Ning family after killing Ning Tian. Is Ning Daniu dead? Ning Fan suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Who is Ning Daniu? I don't know him. The three ancestors of the Ning family trembled even harder. They did not know if they would anger Ning Fan if they did not give Ning Fan a satisfactory answer. He's dead. Your adoptive father is already dead. He died at the end of his lifespan. Suddenly, a lady in green robes walked out from the seats of the Ning family. It was Ning Qingqing. Is he also dead? Ning Fan closed his eyes and felt a little disappointed. Ning Daniu was immortal. He was one of the slaves adopted by the Ning family of Hai Ning. He was the adoptive father of Ning Fan and Ning Gu. Ning Daniu did not treat Ning Fan well and treated him harshly. However, he did raise Ning Fan. Ning Fan more or less felt a little disappointed now that he was dead. He looked at the lady in green robes in front of him and felt a little surprised. Ning Daniu was just a lowly mortal servant in the Ning family of Hai Ning. The cultivators of the Ning family should not pay attention to a mortal. Even though he had asked the three ancestors of the Ning family about this, he had never expected any answer. He did not expect that this lady in green robes could actually answer his question. So it's you, Miss Qing. Ning Fan flipped through his memories and gradually remembered who this lady in green robes was. That year, he was just a mortal young man who went to the Ning Bai Peak to gather herbs. That year, he saw a young lady in green robes in trouble. He called out to help her and led a group of villains away. That year, he offended young Master Tian of the Ning family and got himself killed. When he was in danger, it was that young lady in green robes who saved him. The grudges of the past replayed in his mind. He suddenly felt a little tired. Why you want to destroy the Ning family? Ning Fan. Ning Qingqing bit her lips and asked. The one who betrayed me is Ning Tian alone. It has nothing to do with the Ning family. Besides, I have promised a friend in the demon's sinister forest that I will help her take care of the Ning family. I won't destroy Hai Ning. You can rest assured about this. Ning Fan turned around and left Hai Ning's seat, returning to the floating jade platform. His eyes were indifferent. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. The king of Jin is already dead. Great Jin will no longer merge with other countries. The one who will be merging will be Mayu country. I hereby announce that from today onwards, the territories of the 11 countries present here will all be merged into Mayu country. My cultivation base is at the Void Refinement Realm. With my presence, Yu country can be upgraded to a Void Great Cultivation country at any time. As long as those who pledge allegiance to Yu country don't have the intention to betray me, I won't let them down. If they have other thoughts, don't blame me for being merciless. Ning Fan did not have the intention to negotiate with the 11 countries. His words were orders. He believed that none of the cultivation countries would dare to disobey his orders. After annexing all the countries, the territory of Yu country would expand by 100 times. Ning Fan was determined to expand his force within Yu country. He wanted to build a great force that could protect Yu country and resist the Rain Palace. The reason why he wanted to build this force was not to conquer the world but to protect the beautiful figures of those women. Only then could he step into the sea of blood of cultivation alone without any worries. He would never give anyone the chance to gather the forces of over 100 sects to coerce his friends and family. If I have time in the future, I will go back to the Ning family in Hai Ning to have a look. I also miss the mountains and rivers there. Ning Fan said indifferently to Hai Ning's seat. Then, he turned around and returned to the seats of the cultivators of Yu country. Let's go home. He smiled gently at Ji He and the other women. 10 days later, a piece of shocking news spread across the southeastern continent of the Rain world. Yu country had annexed 11 cultivation countries including Great Jin and officially upgraded to a void grade cultivation country, becoming the 19th void grade cultivation country in the Rain world. The person who was in charge of Yu country was the Lord of 7 Apricot City, Marquis White Robe, Ning Fan. The situation in the southeastern continent of the Rain world instantly changed because of the strong rise of Yu country. Chapter 529. Yu country had annexed 11 cultivation countries, including the Great Jin country, and was officially promoted to a void-level cultivation country, becoming the 19th void-level cultivation country in the Rain immortal world. 7 Apricot City also rapidly rose overnight and became one of the peak powers of the Rain immortal world. On a certain wasteland in the state of Yu, a huge island suddenly fell. On the island, there was only one sect of female cultivators. It was called the Bai Yao sect, and it had submitted to 7 Apricot City. 7 Apricot City had many more experts, and each and every one of them were beautiful women. Su Yan, Yu Lingkong, Ming Kei, Su Qiuling. Those women who were brought back by Ning Fan were staying in 7 Apricot City. The name of Yu State's 7 Apricot City suddenly spread like wildfire. Not only was Marquis White Robe guarding the place, but there were also several Void Refinement Realm female cultivators guarding the place. Brother Fan. Where did you catch so many women from? They are so powerful and beautiful, and there are so many of them. Not only are there legendary Divine Transformation Realm cultivators, there are even legendary Void Refinement Realm cultivators. Shiho was a little jealous. Her insignificant cultivation level could be seen in Yu State, but in front of a true expert, it was completely insignificant. Isn't it good to have more people? From today onwards, I am the 7 Apricot City Lord, you are the Vice City Lord, and they are 7 Apricot City's guest officials and elders. With them here, 7 Apricot City will not be in too much danger. This place is our home, we must protect it well. Ning Fan patted Jihe's small head and laughed while shaking his head. It's good to have a lot of people. He pouted. No woman would like her husband to bring a bunch of women home. However, when he thought about it again, he realized that there was actually a servant girl among the women Ning Fan brought back. Her name was Mu Xiaohuan. At first, Jihe was a little unhappy, but when she saw Mu Xiaohuan, she was happy from the bottom of her heart. Mu Xiaohuan and Jihe got along well. Ning Fan actually found such a good companion for Jihe. This really made Jihe extremely happy. She liked Mu Xiaohuan very much, just like how she liked Si Wuxie in the past. There was no need for any reason. She treated the little foodie Mu Xiaohuan as her own sister and was inseparable from her all day long. Seeing that you've brought back a little sister for me, I'll let you off this time. Don't do it again. Jihe snorted softly. She turned her back to him, but she pursed her lips and snickered. She wasn't really angry. Silly girl, hurry and sleep. Ning Fan apologetically smiled and coaxed Jihe to sleep. He walked out of the courtyard and stood in the snowy night with the moon and stars. He came back with a tyrannical cultivation. He leveled up the Yu country and made 7 Apricot City develop and expand. But all of this was still not enough. It's not enough. The current power of 7 Apricot City is still not big enough. 7 Apricot City must have a Void Fragmentation Realm expert. If we can bring out the little Sable Meiji from the Demon Sinister Forest, we can make 7 Apricot City have the first Void Fragmentation expert. If we can bring the old tree spirit Ming Luo out of the Dark Sparrow's grave, 7 Apricot City will have its second Void Fragmentation expert. If that's the case, I have to return to the Demon Sinister Forest and the Dark Sparrow's grave to see if I can bring the two Void Fragmentation experts out. If I succeed, not only can these two people help me protect 7 Apricot City, they can even become a great help in the battle against Moksha Sovereign in the future. Moreover, one of Wei-Yang's 3 souls, Ning Honghong and Bone Emperor are still in the forest. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He did not forget about the Void Fragmentation Realm White Bone Sovereign. The old tree spirit Ming Luo was the king of the Dark Sparrow's grave. There would not be any danger. Bone Emperor was in the demon sinister forest, but he did not know if the little Sable, Ning Honghong, and Mu Xiaoyang were safe or not. Now that Ning Fan had found Mu Weiliang's corpse, the remnant soul in the demon sinister forest could only be wronged and changed her name to Mu Xiaoyang. Su Yan and Yu Lingkong will handle the matter of the merger of Yu country. I don't have to worry about it. Tomorrow morning, I will return to the Sinister Sparrow sect and go to the demon sinister forest. Ning Fan said to Luo Yu in his mind. Don't worry. With elder sister's help, a mere Bone Emperor is nothing to worry about. Luo Yu chuckled and suddenly asked. Oh yeah, what is Yun Yomu's purpose in giving you these things? I don't know. Ning Fan frowned and took out the storage pouch that Yun Yomu gave him. There was nothing else inside except for 2 yellowed old jade slips. Each of them recorded an incomplete magic technique. Death technique, immemorial fishing line technique. Life technique, fishing net technique of fortune. By using both the life and death techniques at the same time, I can cultivate a trace of life and death chi. Ning Fan kept the jade slips and stood in the wind and snow. Shadows of his fingers danced in the air. While changing his hand seals, he would sometimes pull out pitch-black fishing lines and sometimes white lines, condensing them into a huge net. The surrounding plum trees would sometimes wither and sometimes bloom with winter plum blossoms again. The scene was rather strange. As he was performing the 2 techniques alternately, traces of life and death chi were condensing in his dantian. The formation of the life and death chi was extremely slow. However, as each trace of life and death chi was formed, Ning Fan faintly realized that his aura had undergone some sublimation and transformation. He seemed to feel more ethereal and less murderous. If he continues to cultivate the life and death techniques, he would probably completely become a senior expert with the demeanor of an immortal when he reaches the end of his cultivation. Life and death chi, huh? Ning Fan pondered. Hee. I didn't expect Yun Yomu to give you such a secret technique that can actually allow you to cultivate the life and death chi. The life and death chi is a good thing. With your innate potential, if you cultivate these 2 techniques for 100,000 years and cultivate enough life and death chi, your chances of becoming an immortal will increase by at least 30%. The magic techniques that Yun Yomu gave you are really not bad. Luo Yu giggled. 100,000 years of cultivation can only increase my chances of becoming an immortal by 30%. Where would I have 100,000 years to cultivate these 2 magic techniques? Ning Fan shook his head with a bitter smile. He had no idea why Yun Yomu would give him these 2 magic techniques. Helping him become an immortal? Impossible. Is there some ulterior motive? Maybe. Or could it be that Yun Yomu was just bored and gave him some random things to tease him? Giving him the hope of becoming an immortal and then telling him that he would actually need 100,000 years of cultivation to increase his chances of becoming an immortal by 30%? Would Yun Yomu be that bored? Ning Fan stood still for a whole night, but he still could not figure out Yun Yomu's intentions. When the sun rose, he informed Ji He and the other women of his whereabouts. Then, he left 7 Apricot City and descended into the Sinister Sparrow sect, heading towards the Demon Sinister Forest. Ignoring the formation outside the Demon Sinister Forest, Ning Fan's body was surrounded by golden-purple mist and he directly stepped into the Sinister Forest. The scenery was the same as it was in the past, but the people there were no longer the same. Ning Fan still remembered the old saying that the more evil a mountain was, the more immortal secrets it would hide. As he walked deeper into the forest from the first region, his mind was filled with the memories of the past. In the past, when he entered the Demon Sinister Forest, he was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. Now that he entered the forest again, his cultivation base was no longer the same as before. In the past, he stopped at the 3rd region, but now, he could even explore the 7th region. Be it the vein-opening realm ghosts or the harmonious spirit realm ghosts, all of them shivered in fear when they sensed Ning Fan's ferocious chi from afar. Ning Fan directly passed through the first 2 regions and entered the 3rd region without encountering any obstacles. In the third region, he was just about to spread his spirit sense to see if Mu Xiaoyang and Ning Honghong were still in the Red Clan of the third region. At this moment, the faint sounds of fighting and fleeing could be heard from afar. The ground was shaking violently. A giant white skeleton laughed coldly. He flattened the forests and chased after dozens of Gold Core Realm ghosts. How dare a mere Gold Core Realm ghost clan follow Princess May and rebel against me? You are really courting death. Today, I will kill all of you. Let's see who can save you. This giant white skeleton was one of Bone Sovereign's white skeletal clones. It had a cultivation base of peak Gold Core Realm. Help us. The dozens of Gold Core Realm ghosts were running away while crying for help. Each time the giant white skeleton raised his palm, he would kill a Gold Core Realm ghost in midair. While laughing, he swallowed the ghosts into his stomach one after another. While the giant was laughing loudly and the ghosts were running for their lives, a white-robed young man suddenly appeared in front of them. The giant was startled. He did not see how the young man appeared. He only felt that the young man looked very familiar, but he could not recall who he was. As soon as the ghosts saw the young man and sensed his extraordinary aura, they immediately called for help in a desperate situation. Friend, please save us. We are ghost cultivators from the Red Clan. We are being chased by Bone Sovereign's clones. Red Clan. Isn't that Ning Honghong's and Mu Xiaoyang's ghost clans? Ning Fan pondered for a moment. Then, he took a step forward and stood in front of the giant white skeleton, protecting the ghosts behind him. Bone Sovereign, it's been many years. You are still alive. Ning Fan said indifferently. It's you. The giant white skeleton retracted his cold smile and his hair stood up in anger. The giant white skeleton remembered. The white-robed young man in front of him was his enemy. He was the sinner who destroyed his true soul clone and caused his cultivation base to fall. That year, he turned into Wang Yao and snuck out of the demon sinister forest. That year, Ning Fan killed Wang Yao and severely injured Bone Sovereign's true body. Ning Fan. That year, you killed my true soul clone and caused my cultivation base to fall. Until now, I have yet to return to my previous level. Today, I will definitely kill you to vent my anger. The giant white skeleton raised his hand and threw a punch at Ning Fan. It was filled with towering anger. The power of his punch was almost comparable to the attack of an ordinary nascent soul realm cultivator. The ground within 1,000 li immediately trembled violently. Ning Fan also raised his hand and threw a punch. His punch was not as powerful as the giant's punch. It was just a casual punch. However, with just a single punch, the bamboo forest within tens of thousands of li was directly razed to the ground. Countless mountains and rivers were flattened. The entire third region was plunged into a violent earthquake. The giant white skeleton stared at Ning Fan's extremely terrifying fist light in disbelief. He was so shocked that he could not understand what was going on. Then, he was directly turned into ashes. Even until his death, his clone could not understand why a harmonious spirit realm young man 40 years ago could possess such terrifying abilities 40 years later. My cultivation base is no longer the harmonious spirit realm I was in the past. You can no longer chase after me with just a clone. Ning Fan withdrew his fist and stood still. His eyes were indifferent. Behind him, all the ghosts of the Red Clan were dumbfounded. Since when did such a powerful expert appear in the third region? He could flatten mountains and rivers within tens of thousands of li and kill Bone Sovereign's Gold Core Realm clone with a single punch. Could it be that this white-robed young man is actually a nascent Soul Realm Ghost King? However, even a nascent Soul Realm Ghost King does not seem to have such terrifying abilities like Ning Fan. What exactly is Ning Fan's cultivation base? I'm looking for Ning Honghong and Mu Weiliang. Are they still in the Red Clan? Ning Fan asked in an irrefutable manner. All of the ghosts were afraid of Ning Fan's might. Thus, they immediately told him everything they knew without holding anything back. After listening to their answers, Ning Fan's eyes gradually revealed a solemn expression. Hong Hong disappeared. Why did she disappear? Does her disappearance have anything to do with Hong Yi? Meiji brought Mu Xiaoyang to the 6th region. Now, she is in the Yellow Spring Demon City in the 6th region. Is she safe and sound? Ning Fan muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with a hint of worry. He then asked about the situation in the 6th region. I heard that Bone Sovereign has sent an army of white skeletons to besiege the Yellow Spring City where Meiji is currently in the 6th region. 3 months ago, Meiji was severely injured in a battle with Bone Sovereign. Until now, she has yet to recover from her injuries. No one knows whether she is still alive or not. Without her guarding the city, the Yellow Spring City is in a precarious situation. It could be breached at any time. One of the Gold Core Realm ghosts answered. Meiji is injured. Then, is Mu Xiaoyang alright? Ning Fan's eyes turned serious. Without any hesitation, he patted his storage pouch and took out the ancient golden sword. Then, he stepped on the ancient sword. After tossing out countless immortal jades, he pushed the escaping light of the ancient sword to its limit and flew away at full speed. Since Meiji was severely injured and the Yellow Spring City was besieged, Mu Xiaoyang would naturally be in danger. She was one of Weiyang's 3 souls. Ning Fan would never let her get hurt no matter what. Standing on the tip of the sword, Ning Fan stepped on the pure golden sword light. His baleful chi was terrifying and he directly dashed into the 4th region at a terrifying speed that was comparable to a void fragmentation realm expert. All of a sudden, all the nascent soul realm ghost kings in the 4th region trembled in fear. All of them could feel an irresistible baleful chi from Ning Fan's body. None of them dared to stop Ning Fan's sword light. Who is this man? He actually has such a terrifying baleful chi. Even Bone Sovereign might not have such a terrifying baleful chi. Oh my god. He actually entered the 5th region. Isn't he afraid of death? There are Divine Transformation Realm ghosts in the 5th region. I heard that all the Divine Transformation Realm ghosts in the 5th region have become Bone Sovereign's subordinates. They will attack anyone who enters the region. If this man enters the 5th region rashly, I'm afraid he will die right away. Just as Ning Fan's sword light broke into the 5th region, thousands of Divine Transformation Realm ghosts roared and flew into the sky. They locked their killing intent on Ning Fan and released magic attacks one after another. According to Bone Sovereign's order, all those who trespass the 5th region will die. Bone Sovereign's order, huh? Ning Fan kept his golden sword light and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his eyes were flashing with pure black sword sense and sword light. His sea of consciousness moved and a vast sword sense swept across 200,000 li, shattering the attacks of all the Divine Transformation Realm ghosts. All the Divine Transformation Realm ghosts were enveloped by the sword sense. Not only did it contain the immortal trapping sword intent, but it also contained a trace of immortal slaughtering sword chi. Now that the power of the sword sense was fully unleashed, even a mid-Divine Transformation Realm ghost would not be able to escape death. Each of the Divine Transformation Realm ghosts screamed in agony. They were minced into minced meat by the sword sense. Blood immediately flowed like a river within 200,000 li. Those Divine Transformation Realm ghosts who did not die under the sword sense panicked and fled in all directions. They were extremely afraid of Ning Fan and none of them dared to fight him at all. Ning Fan raised the blood umbrella mercilessly. Stepping on the golden sword light, he kept each of the fleeing ghosts into the blood umbrella. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, all the ghosts either turned into minced meat or turned into pus and blood in the blood umbrella. Only the sense beads were left behind. Divine Transformation Realm sense beads. Even Ning Fan, who was at the Void Refinement Realm, could slightly improve his spirit sense. Ning Fan had obtained a total of 4,120 Divine Transformation Realm sense beads. All the ghosts were dead. The 5th region was as quiet as the dead. Next, I'll head to the 6th region. Ning Fan stepped on the ancient golden sword and vanished in an instant. In the 6th region, outside a demon city named Yellow Spring City, dark clouds loomed over the city. It was surrounded by ghost soldiers wearing bone armors. Their killing intent was overwhelming. The sky above the demon city was guarded by a high-grade mortal void realm formation light. If it wasn't because the formation light was still intact, the Yellow Spring City would have long been flattened. In the Yellow Spring City, more than half of Meiji's subordinates had died. There were less than 3,000 ghost cultivators who were at the nascent soul realm and above, while there were only tens of thousands of gold core realm ghost cultivators left. Most of them were already injured. The one guarding the city was a void glimpse stage-old man. He was the commander of Meiji's subordinates. His name was Yuhai. Originally, there were 2 other void inquiry stage-old men guarding the city. However, both of them were severely injured and unconscious. There was no way for them to continue fighting. Mei Chen, come out obediently and accept your death. If you do that, I can still keep your corpse in one piece. 2 Void Inquiry Stage Ice Giants led 1,000,000 Gold Core Realm Ghosts and challenged them outside the formation light. In front of the 2 Void Inquiry Stage Giants were 4 Void Glimpse Stage White Bone Puppets. Each of them had strong chi, but their eyes were empty. They kept casting magic techniques to attack the formation light. Under the attacks of the 4 White Bone Puppets, the Yellow Spring City was already in a precarious situation. The formation light was covered with cracks and it could shatter at any time. This is troublesome. There aren't many immortal jade left in the city. I'm afraid this formation light won't last much longer. Until now, Lord Meiji has yet to stabilize her injuries. Her magic power is still in a scattered state and she can't fight the enemies. If the formation light shatters now, the Yellow Spring City will certainly be destroyed. Lord Meiji will also die in the hands of the enemies. Commander Mu, what do you think we should do? Should we lead Lord Meiji out of the encirclement and give up on the Yellow Spring City before the city is breached? The Void Glimpse Stage Old Man called Yuhai asked a white-robed female ghost beside him. The white-robed female ghost had delicate features. Even though she was just at the Gold Core realm, she was someone that Meiji thought highly of. She treated her like a sister. Even Commander Yuhai did not dare to neglect her. We can't. Elder sister Mei Chen's injuries won't allow her to withstand any turbulence. If we run away, her injuries will certainly worsen. If we continue to defend the Yellow Spring City, we might still have a chance to suppress her injuries and recover her magic power. If we don't have enough immortal jade, we will use the 100,000 sense beads in the treasure vault to fill up the formation eye. Even though elder sister Mei Chen and I have collected those sense beads for him, he hasn't returned for so many years. Perhaps he won't return for the rest of his life. He probably won't be able to use these sense beads anymore. Let's continue to defend the city with these sense beads. Sigh. That's the only way. Commander Yuhai sighed. He had witnessed how the 100,000 sense beads were found with his own eyes. Each of the sense beads was at least at the nascent soul realm. There were also divine transformation realm sense beads and void refinement realm sense beads. If a human cultivator were to consume these sense beads, his spirit sense would be raised to an extremely terrifying realm. For more than 40 years, Mei Chen and Mu Xiaoyang had killed countless ghosts and searched through the first 6 regions of the demon sinister forest to collect these 100,000 sense beads. Now, in order to defend the city, they would probably have to use up these 100,000 sense beads. Mei Chen and Mu Xiaoyang's 40 years of hard work would probably go down the drain. Pass down my order. Quickly take out the 100,000 sense beads from the treasure vault to fill up the formation eye. No mistakes. Wait, what's that? Just as Commander Yuhai gave the order, his expression suddenly changed. Outside the Yellow Spring Demon City, a white-robed young man had appeared out of nowhere. He was standing proudly outside the formation light while stepping on a dazzling golden ancient sword, completely ignoring the ferocious might of the millions of ghost soldiers outside the city. Even through the layers of formation light, Commander Yu Hai could still feel an irresistible baleful chi and devil might from the young man. His eyes were filled with shock. Who is this? Could he be the reinforcements of Bone's sovereign? If that's the case, my Yellow Springs Demon City will be in danger today. Ning Fan stepped on the ancient sword. His ears were filled with the roars of the 1,000,000 ghost soldiers. However, his heart calmed down a little when he saw that Mu Xiaoyang was safe and sound. Little Black doesn't seem to be here. Has his injury not healed yet? You don't look well. Haven't you had a good rest recently? Do you need my help to exterminate these 1,000,000 ghostly soldiers? With his back facing Mu Xiaoyang, Ning Fan asked with concern. The Blackie he mentioned was naturally the netherworld mink Mei Ji. Under the heavens, only Ning Fan dared to call Princess Mei as Little Black. His tone was so calm, as if annihilating the 1,000,000 ghost soldiers was something that could be done in the blink of an eye. Mu Xiaoyang blushed. She was still as shy as before. Just by looking at Ning Fan's back, she felt as if her heart was about to leap out of her throat. Her cheeks were burning hot and she found it hard to breathe. He actually came back. Mu Xiaoyang had a lot to say, but she didn't know where to start. Suddenly, tears welled up in her eyes. You're ignoring me. Fine, I'll kill these ghosts first, then I'll talk to you. What's your name? Ning Fan turned his head indifferently and looked at Commander Yu Hai. I'm Yu Hai. I'm Lord Mei Ji's subordinate. You are. Commander Yu Hai could see the close relationship between Ning Fan and Mu Xiaoyang. He guessed that Ning Fan was a friend and not an enemy. He could not help but heave a sigh of relief. You don't have to fill the formation eye with sense beads anymore. Sense beads are good stuff. Don't waste them. Take these immortal jades. Ning Fan casually tossed a storage pouch that was filled with immortal jades. Yu Hai scanned the storage pouch with his spirit sense and immediately turned pale with fright. There were actually billions of immortal jades inside. Who are you exactly? Why did you help my Yellow Spring Demon City? Yu Hai asked with gratitude. The only reply he got was a ray of pure golden sword light that dashed towards the 1,000,000 devil soldiers outside the city. Looking at the white-robed young man who suddenly appeared and gave them the immortal jades, the two ice giants were enraged. Who are you? How dare you go against us and help the Yellow Spring Demon City? Aren't you afraid of Lord Bone's sovereign's punishment? The reply to the two giants was still the sound of a sword piercing through the air. Ning Fan stepped on the tip of the sword. He held a ball of black flames in his palm and hurled it into the sky. All of a sudden, the black flames turned into hundreds of gigantic fire vortexes. Each of the vortexes had a gigantic black fire dragon flying out from it. This was the dragon vortex fire technique recorded in the Black Demon art. It was a divine ability that Ning Fan often used when he was at the harmonious spirit realm. With his current cultivation base, even a void inquiry stage expert would find it hard to withstand the destructive power of this technique. Hundreds of gigantic black fire dragons descended from the sky and rushed into the 1,000,000 ghost soldiers. Tens of thousands of ghost soldiers were burned to ashes by the fire dragons. The expressions of the two ice giants changed when they saw the terrifying black flames. This person isn't easy to deal with. Where are the white bone puppets? Kill him. The 4 white bone puppets rushed towards Ning Fan with cold expressions. For void glimpse stage spiritual puppets, huh? I can give them to Jiha to protect myself. Life imprisoning finger. Ning Fan pointed his finger at the 4 white bone puppets. Black crescent moon marks suddenly appeared on the left side of the 4 white bone puppets. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve again and activated his memory power. All of the 4 spiritual puppets had their spiritual intelligence wiped out and turned into 4 white bone puppets. Ning Fan then kept them into his storage pouch. All of a sudden, the entire Yellow Spring Demon City was in an uproar. Ning Fan was just too strong. He took away 4 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets just by raising his hand. Those were Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. Hundreds of black dragons swept across the land. Countless ghost soldiers fell one after another. The 2 ice giants' faces turned pale with fright. Who exactly are you? Do you really want to become Lord Bone's sovereign's enemy? So what if I become his enemy? Ning Fan stepped on the tip of the sword and his body turned into a ray of golden light, dashing towards the 2 ice giants. He raised both of his fists and punched them. His essence chi swept across the surroundings. Pieces of space shattered like glass. The 2 ice giants could not withstand the force of Ning Fan's punch at all. Both of them turned into countless ice shards and died instantly. Instant kill. Commander Yu Hai was so shocked that he could not close his mouth. Those 2 ice giants were at the Void Inquiry stage. They were the Ghost Ice Twin Demons who were under Bone's Sovereign's command. Previously, they had defeated 2 Void Inquiry stage experts of the Yellow Spring Demon City consecutively. How could they be killed by Ning Fan so easily? Ning Fan kept his ancient sword and walked through the millions of ghost soldiers with the blood umbrella. Every time he opened the blood umbrella, countless ghost soldiers would be sucked away, turning into pus and blood and dying. Those who resisted, those who fled, those who begged for mercy. All of the ghost soldiers had the same ending in the end, death. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Fan stepped on the millions of corpses and collected the sense beads that littered the ground. Then, he slowly walked towards the Yellow Spring Demon City. If one were to use a word to describe this battle, it would be sweeping away everything. No one could stop Ning Fan's footsteps. The formation light of the Yellow Spring Demon City faded away. However, there was no longer a need for the formation light to defend itself because the battle had already ended. Who exactly is this person? He is just one person, but he actually killed millions of ghost soldiers of Bone's Sovereign. Commander Mu, do you know this expert? Who exactly is he? Each of the ghost cultivators who were guarding the city looked at Mu Xiaoyang, waiting for her answer. He's a stinky man. All of a sudden, a mature and beautiful lady with a pale complexion appeared beside Mu Xiaoyang and answered for her. She was Mei Ji, who had yet to recover from her severe injuries. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. It had only been 40 years and the young man who was only at the harmonious spirit realm in the past had actually cultivated to such a level. My little black really doesn't learn to be obedient. Why did he come out and run around when his injuries haven't even recovered? Do you really need to punish him to make him obedient? Ning Fan turned into a ray of light and ascended the city wall and teased Mei Ji. Who's your little black? Mei Ji wished she could strangle Ning Fan to death. However, her limbs were weak and she could only stare at Ning Fan with resentment. You still know to come back. If you came back a little later, you could have helped me collect my corpse. Her tone was rather resentful. Ning Fan looked at Mei Ji with a playful expression. Could it be that she missed him a lot? When he used his spirit sense to check her condition, he realized that she was severely injured. His face darkened. How did you get so badly injured? You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.